there, sleepyheads. Welcome back to the channel. Before we drift into tonight's tale of Reborn, the Age of Quiet Magic, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from tonight? And what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. It's always magical seeing how far and wide this sleepy little community reaches. All right, lights low, blankets up. Let's begin. There was a time when was loud. Not the kind of loud that hurt your ears, but the kind that filled the air with stories and laughter and songs. The clang of swords, the hum of spells, the rhythm of endless adventure. But all songs, no matter how bright, eventually find their silence. And so, long after the last battle had been fought, after the last friend had said their final goodbye, the land of began to fall quiet. It wasn't a sad quiet, not entirely. It was the kind of stillness that follows a long, beautiful day, the hush that comes when the sun dips beneath the horizon and the world takes a deep breath. The candy towers, the crystal castles, the forests of flame, they all soften. Time and nature work together, slow and patient, to reclaim what once blazed with color. Now the air smells of dew and moss. The hills, once alive with the candy people, are blanketed in soft grass that hums when the wind touches it. The rivers are clearer now, carrying faint reflections of skies unscarred by magic gone wild. The sky itself feels different, more patient, as though it remembers the weight of the ages and has chosen to rest. Here in this quiet world, something stirs. A figure, small against the vastness of it all, moves gently through the fields. The wanderer, wrapped in a faded cloak, carrying a satchel of unknown trinkets. They walk without urgency, as though following a rhythm only they can hear. Their boots press softly into soil that once bore the footprints of heroes. And though they do not know it, every step echoes faintly with memory. When they pause at a ridge overlooking the remains of what was once the Candy Kingdom, the light is warm and golden. But there is no palace, no laughter of sugar-born folk. Only a wide meadow, rippling like water under the breeze. Some of the flowers are shaped strangely, their petals like old candy wrappers, half buried in earth. They glint when the sun finds them, whispering faintly as though recalling the sweetness that used to fill these lands. The wanderer kneels, brushing a hand through the grass. Beneath their fingers lies something small, a fragment of pink glass, smooth from time. They lift it, watching it catch the fading light. For a moment, it hums. Not a sound, but a feeling, a familiar warmth, like friendship remembered from another life. Then it fades again, leaving only the quiet. The world of has not died. It has simply transformed. The magic that once roared through its veins has settled into the soil, dissolving into something gentler. It hums through roots and rivers, through the wings of birds and the flow of clouds. Magic is no longer something to wield. It is something that breathes. The wanderer continues on, guided not by roads, for roads have long vanished, but by the whispers of the land itself. Sometimes the wind bends differently, pointing them toward forgotten places. Sometimes the earth glows faintly beneath the moon, forming a path of pale light. It is as though remembers being explored and is happy to be seen again. Along the way, the wanderer finds relics of an older world. A stone tower leaning but unbroken, its top circled by nesting birds. A rusted sign with letters half gone. Tree. Something. Perhaps the tree fort once stood nearby. Now long fallen, its wood and rope absorbed into the forest that grew from its remains. Yet, in the pattern of the trees, there is something familiar, an echo of architecture shaped by friendship and laughter. Even here in the silence, dreams. The air itself seems to shimmer faintly, as though the land remembers the sound of a lute, the laughter of a dog, the voice of a hero. They are gone, yes, but their presence lingers in a way that cannot be erased. Every leaf, every shadow carries their memory like a heartbeat. The wanderer rests by a pool of water, watching ripples spread outward like soft rings of time. The reflection that looks back at them is not sharp or certain. It shifts, showing glimpses of a crown, a sword, a flame. The echoes of an age now buried beneath moss and moonlight. And for just a moment, the wanderer feels a pull as though the world itself is asking to be remembered. Far above, the stars are changing too. They shine brighter now, almost as if the heavens are closer to the earth. Magic hums faintly in the air, not in bursts of chaos or color, but in a gentle vibration that feels alive. The land of Oo has entered its dream, a long, peaceful slumber after centuries of chaos and wonder. Yet something about the stillness feels alive. The silence, though deep, isn't empty. It feels like the world is waiting for someone to listen. And so the wanderer does. They listen to the hush of the wind through the ruins, to the heartbeat of the forest, to the language of roots and stones. And slowly, quietly, Oo begins to speak again. The words are not words at all, but feelings. Fragments of memory drifting like pollen through the air. Echoes of laughter, of songs once sung, of friendships so strong they reshaped the world. The wanderer cannot understand them fully, but they feel their warmth, their tenderness. It is as though the entire land is remembering love. And in that gentle remembering, the wanderer finds peace. The night stretches softly over the land, a velvet sky scattered with stars that seem to hum in slow harmony. The wanderer sets a small fire, not a blaze, but a quiet flicker of warmth that breathes in rhythm with the wind. Around them, the grass sways gently, silvered by moonlight. The world feels neither old nor new, but suspended in between, as if time itself has decided to rest. They take a moment to eat simple food, dried berries and bread, softened with dew. It tastes of earth and calmness. There are no cities now, no marketplaces or candy stalls, only what nature gives freely. The wanderer leans back, watching the embers twist upward. Each spark rises like a tiny soul, fading into the dark, joining the stars above. For a while there is no thought of past or future, only breath and silence. Yet even silence carries a melody if one listens closely enough. The wanderer hears it, the deep tone of the earth turning, the sigh of wind through old stone, the slow heartbeat of a sleeping world. It is a lullaby older than memory. In the distance, a faint light flickers. Not fire nor magic, but something subtler, a phosphorescent bloom spreading across the hills. The wanderer stands, curiosity tempered by reverence. They follow the glow through the soft terrain, stepping carefully between roots and fallen branches. As they near the light, they see the source, a field of flowers that gleam like stars, their petals faintly translucent. When touched, they release a tone, a single note, delicate and clear. Each flower sings a different pitch, and together they form a song, one the wanderer recognizes, though they do not know how. It is a melody from the old world, something once played on a lute, hummed by friends around a campfire. A song of comfort, of belonging. The wanderer closes their eyes, and the field seems to sway with the rhythm, a living memory of the music that once filled Oo's nights. When the song fades, the flowers fold their petals, glowing softly like embers settling into rest. The wanderer smiles faintly, realizing the world itself remembers joy. It doesn't remember the wars or the pain, not in detail, those things have dissolved into soil, but the emotions linger. Love, friendship, laughter, these are seeds that never die. The wanderer walks onward, guided by moonlight that filters through the trees. The forest hums with quiet life. Small creatures chirr softly in the distance, and the leaves rustle like whispers. The air is cool, almost sacred. There's a peace here that feels intentional, as though nature itself has chosen gentleness after centuries of chaos. As they move deeper, they come across a stream that glows faintly blue. Its surface is glassy, but beneath it, threads of light twist and curl like veins of energy. When the wanderer dips a hand into it, the water ripples with a soft chime. For a moment, the stream shows images brief and fading. A boy with a sword, a dog with stretching limbs, a princess of candy with kind eyes. The wanderer watches, transfixed, before the vision fades into ripples. It feels like the world is remembering its story through water and light, like each element carries fragments of memory waiting for someone to see them, to understand. The wanderer whispers a thank you, unsure who they are speaking to, perhaps to the stream, perhaps to the world itself. They continue walking until the forest opens into a wide plain. The horizon glows with dawn light, a pale pearly blue. Mist rolls low over the grass, catching in the folds of the land. From here, Oo stretches endlessly, serene and vast. It's hard to imagine this place ever being loud, ever filled with noise and color. Yet beneath the quiet, the wanderer can sense the heartbeat of something ancient, not gone, only resting. They kneel again, touching the soil. It's rich and soft, and beneath it, something pulses faintly, like the rhythm of breath. The wanderer realizes this is what remains of the old magic. It's not in spells or artifacts anymore. It's in the very rhythm of the world. Every sunrise, every blade of grass bending to the wind is part of it. In the distance, a gentle rain begins to fall, warm and light. The droplets shimmer faintly as they touch the earth, feeding the quiet magic that flows beneath everything. The wanderer lifts their face to the sky, feeling the water against their skin, and for a brief moment, it feels like being blessed, not by a god, but by the memory of Oo itself. The rain washes away footprints and worry alike, leaving the land smooth and whole again. The wanderer watches as the world glistens under the pale sun, and though they are alone, it doesn't feel lonely. The silence has changed. It no longer feels like an ending. It feels like a beginning that forgot to hurry. As the rain fades, the wanderer begins to hum a low, absent-minded tune that fits into the stillness perfectly. It's a lullaby they've never learned, yet somehow always known. And as their voice mingles with the soft sounds of nature, it's as though Oo hums along, remembering what it feels like to dream. The sky begins to clear slowly, as though the clouds themselves are reluctant to leave the earth they've just kissed. Soft beams of sunlight filter through, painting the land in hues of silver and green. Every leaf, every blade of grass glows with quiet gratitude. The wanderer stands at the edge of the plain, eyes tracing the mist as it curls into the valleys below, where ruins of a once lively world lie hidden beneath the green. They start toward those shapes in the distance, drawn by something that feels more like memory than curiosity. As they descend the hill, the air grows warmer, filled with the scent of wet soil and the faint sweetness of flowers. The ground is soft underfoot, springy with moss that hums faintly when stepped upon, like the land is singing back to every movement. Soon the wanderer reaches what might once have been a road. Only faint traces remain, stones half swallowed by earth, lined in a pattern too deliberate to be natural. The world has worked hard to soften it, to erase the lines humans once drew upon it. Still the shape persists, as though the land remembers being guided by footsteps. Following it, they come upon a cluster of ancient walls, collapsed into one another like tired giants. The structures are draped in ivy and blooming vines, their outlines barely recognizable. Yet among the ruin, hints of the past remain. Candy-colored shards fused into stone, glass bubbles trapped in moss, bones of architecture that once sparkled with joy. The wanderer runs their hand along a piece of wall. Beneath the softness of moss, there is warmth, the faint hum of old enchantments, too weak to shine but too stubborn to fade. The air smells faintly of sugar and rust. In the quiet, the wanderer imagines laughter high, bright laughter that once filled these streets. A soft wind moves through the ruins, and for an instant, it feels as though the sound of footsteps returns, not threatening, just familiar. Perhaps the echo of candy people going about their day, or the rustle of heroes passing through. The wanderer closes their eyes and listens. The sound fades, leaving only the gentle sigh of the world breathing. They continue deeper into the ruins until they reach an open courtyard. At its center lies the skeleton of a great tree, its trunk petrified, its roots breaking through old stone. Around it, wildflowers bloom pinks, blues, and faint purples. The wanderer kneels, tracing one of the roots that spirals outward like a vein of memory. There is something here, a story that refuses to sleep. The wanderer feels it in the air of vibration, subtle and slow. They press a hand to the root and close their eyes. The world around them fades. In the darkness behind their eyelids, they see flashes. A boy sitting in the branches of this tree, laughing with a friend made of golden light. A sword glinting in the sun. A hand stretched in trust. A sunset painted in orange and violet. It is not a vision of ghosts, but of echoes, the land itself remembering. When the wanderer opens their eyes again, tears glimmer faintly in the corners. They don't know why. It isn't sorrow, it's something gentler, like the ache of remembering a dream you once loved. They whisper a quiet thank you to the tree and rise, brushing dust from their knees. All around, the world is alive with a quiet recovery. In the crevices of stone, small mushrooms glow faintly. In puddles left by the rain, tiny ripples shimmer with colors not entirely natural, soft reflections of an ancient magic still breathing through the soil. Even decay here is beautiful, patient, almost holy. As the wanderer moves onward, they find remnants of things once grand, a cracked emblem shaped like a flame, its metal worn smooth, a fragment of glass that hums when held up to light, a ribbon of pink cloth tangled around a vine. They collect none of it. These relics belong to the earth now, part of its slow transformation. To take them would be to disturb the dream. Instead, the wanderer simply observes, letting each fragment tell its story in silence. They imagine the lives once lived here, the laughter, the fears, the endless search for meaning. And though centuries have passed, the world still feels warm with those memories, as if affection itself has soaked into the soil. They find a broken mirror leaning against the stone. Its surface is cracked into a dozen reflections. When the wanderer peers into it, their face fractures into shifting forms for a second. A flicker of something else looks back, a young boy with determined eyes, a woman with fangs and a gentle smile, a wizard whose sorrow weighed heavier than time. The wanderer blinks, and the reflections vanish, leaving only their own calm face framed by moss and sunlight. Perhaps the mirror is enchanted, or perhaps the land simply remembers the faces that once looked upon it. In Oo, memory has always been its own form of magic. The wanderer sits for a while beside the mirror, watching dust drift lazily through the lights. There is a deep peace here, a kind of serenity born from endings that found balance instead of despair. The world is no longer fighting itself. It has learned the art of stillness. In that stillness, something remarkable happens. The ground beneath begins to hum softly, resonating with a gentle living pulse. The wanderer closes their eyes and feels it, the heartbeat of Oo itself, slow and patient, not gone, not forgotten, simply resting in its next form. They smile faintly, understanding that this silence after the song isn't emptiness. It's the breath between verses, the pause before the melody begins anew. The world, once wild with chaos and color, now whispers its stories through roots, rivers, and dreams, and the wanderer listens, letting those whispers carry them deeper into the land's rebirth. The day drifts slowly into dusk again, wrapping the ruins in soft gold. Shadows lengthen across the moss-covered stones, and the air grows cooler, tinged with the scent of rain yet to fall. The wanderer lingers in the courtyard, watching the light slip gently over the ancient tree, over the bones of the old kingdom. Everything feels alive in a different way, not bustling or bright, but steady breathing. From the folds of their cloak, the wanderer takes out a small, round stone, smooth, pale, and faintly warm to the touch. They don't remember where they found it, or when, but they've carried it for as long as they can recall. Holding it now, it glows softly, resonating with the quiet hum of the world. It feels as if the stone, too, remembers something a time when magic was louder and the stars seemed closer. They turn toward the west, where the horizon burns faintly with the last light of the sun. It's a soft fire, not the blaze of the old world, but a gentle glow, the kind that promises calm rather than triumph. The wanderer follows it, leaving the ruins behind, walking across open land where the grass ripples like waves. Each step stirs the scent of life. The silence is deep, but never lonely. In the far distance, the land dips into a shallow valley, where remnants of another world rest beneath a shimmer of mist. As the wanderer approaches, the air grows thicker with that faint, ever-present hum of quiet magic. They can see shapes half buried in the soil, the corner of a wall, the outline of a door, fragments of glass that glitter faintly. And there, standing tilted but unbroken, a single spire of crystal rises above the field. The wanderer draws closer, feeling a pull gentle but undeniable. The spire hums faintly when they touch it, as though the world itself has been waiting for a hand to remember. Inside the crystal, faint images move like dreams, a flicker of a candy palace, a woman with long pink hair looking out over her kingdom, a comet streaking through the sky. Then, as quickly as they appear, the images dissolve into the glow. The wanderer steps back, breath slow and steady. They don't speak. They don't need to. The crystal speaks through feeling, through resonance. This, too, is remembering its stories, preserved not in words, but in the rhythm of the world. The wanderer bows their head, offering quiet respect to the age that came before, and then they continue onward, letting the crystal fade behind them like the last note of a song. As the stars emerge, the world around them begins to shift again. Fireflies rise from the grass, flickering in delicate spirals. The air smells faintly of honey and ash, an echo of two forces that once shaped everything creation and destruction, forever entwined. Above, the constellations shimmer in new patterns. The wanderer wonders if the stars themselves have changed their stories over the centuries. Perhaps they, too, have chosen peace over passion. The wanderer finds a small clearing beneath a ring of trees. Their branches weave together above like the ceiling of a cathedral. It feels safe here, sacred, but not in the way of temples or gods. Sacred in the way quiet spaces are, when the world chooses to listen to itself. They sit down, resting their pack beside them, and close their eyes. The forest hums faintly, the rhythm of the living world surrounding them like a lullaby. Beneath that hum, the wanderer can feel the layers of time stretching deep into the soil civilizations built and gone. Laughter turned to echoes, magic turned to music. It's all still here, just quieter, more humble. For a long while, they simply breathe. The air moves gently through the clearing, carrying the faintest sound, not a song exactly, but a tone like the resonance of a faraway bell. It seems to come from everywhere at once. the sky, the ground, the stars. The tone deepens, wrapping around them, filling the air with warmth. And in that moment, the wanderer feels it the unity of all things that once were. Finn's courage, Jake's laughter, the wisdom of the princesses, the sorrow of the Ice King, the music of Marceline, all of it still exists, folded softly into the breath of this reborn world. Their stories have ended, but their essence remains, woven to the stillness. The wanderer realizes that this silence after the song is not the absence of what was. It is the echo made eternal, the gentle continuation of life's rhythm. Ooh has not forgotten its heroes. It has become them. Every wave of grass, every flicker of starlight, every whisper of wind carries a trace of what they once were. The night deepens. The stars burn brighter, and somewhere unseen, a soft aurora shimmers over the horizon. The wanderer lies down on the grass, hands folded over their chest, eyes tracing the movement of light above. The ground beneath them is warm, pulsing faintly with the slow heartbeat of the world. Sleep comes like a tide, soft and inevitable. And as the wanderer drifts toward it, they hear the land's final whisper of the day, a voice without words, a feeling more than a sound. Rest now. The story continues. The wanderer smiles faintly, eyes closed, their breath falling in rhythm with the earth's. In the silence, Ooh hums its quiet, eternal melody. The world is at peace. Morning rises slowly, as if reluctant to disturb the slumbering land. Mist curls across the plains, glowing faintly in the pale sunlight. The wanderer wakes beneath the woven branches, feeling the warmth of the earth beneath their palms. For a moment they simply breathe, listening to the quiet conversation between wind and leaves. It is gentle and patient, as though the forest itself is telling them to move slowly, to listen before they walk. When they finally rise, the mist parts before them, revealing the faint outline of something vast in the distance, shapes that do not belong to nature. Ruins, the remnants of what once stood as kingdoms, now reduced to hums and half-remembered stories. The wanderer feels a pull toward them, not of curiosity, but of reverence. These are the bones of Oo's old dreams, resting beneath the New World's skin. As they walk, the terrain begins to shift. The grass grows thinner, giving way to patches of pale sand and scattered glass. The air is still, yet heavy with the scent of salt and frost. The first remnants the wanderer reaches are faint outlines of towers, melted and fused by time. They stand like enormous candles, their wax long since cooled into strange shapes. It was once the Ice Kingdom, though the cold has softened into memory. Where glaciers once ruled, there are now glassy lakes reflecting the pale morning light. Their surfaces glimmer faintly blue, rippling with the soft sigh of melted enchantments. The wanderer kneels by the water, cupping a handful and lifting it toward the light. It shines faintly, as though the magic still lingering in it cannot quite let go of its former glory. Beneath the surface, shadows drift, not fish, but patterns of light that move like ghosts of snowflakes. The air here hums with faint sorrow, but it's a peaceful sorrow, one that has made its peace with loss. The wanderer senses what this place once was, a kingdom carved from ice and loneliness, ruled by a soul whose heart carried both love and grief in equal measure. The Ice King's realm, long melted, still remembers him. The wind carries a faint echo of laughter, sometimes broken, sometimes tender. The wanderer listens, head bowed, feeling that ancient ache woven through the air. They imagine the crown resting deep below the lake, its jewels dim but still alive with quiet energy. Around it, tiny roots of new plants grow, wrapping gently around what once symbolized madness and sorrow. The world is kind in its forgetting. It doesn't erase. It softens. The ice kingdom has not vanished. It has turned its suffering into beauty. The wanderer walks on, and soon the air begins to change again. The chill gives way to warmth, and the sand beneath their feet darkens, flecked with fragments of obsidian and soot. They follow the faint hum of energy that rises from the ground, and soon the horizon glows faintly red. The fire kingdom once blazed here, though now it burns in a different way. The mountains still breathe smoke, but it drifts softly, tinted gold by sunlight. Cracks in the earth reveal rivers of molten glass, not fire but light frozen in motion. The air vibrates gently, alive with residual heat. The wanderer can feel warmth brushing against their skin, not burning but comforting, like the memory of an embrace. In the distance, they see spires of blackened stone rising from the ground, their tips covered in blooming crimson flowers that thrive on the heat. They sway slowly, their petals shimmering as though coated in embers. Nature has claimed this kingdom too, not by extinguishing its flame, but by learning to grow from it. The wanderer steps carefully through the terrain, their boots crunching over layers of cool lava. Every step reveals veins of light beneath the crust, glowing faintly in rhythm with their movement. The fire kingdom was once chaos, passion, and destruction, but here its remnants sing of renewal. Among the rocks, the wanderer finds a sculpture of blackened glass, its shape twisted, yet still somehow graceful. It might have been part of a palace once, or perhaps something older, a relic of devotion. When sunlight strikes it, the glass bursts into a rainbow of color, scattering light like a prism. The wanderer watches quietly, remembering what was said of the fire people, that even in their anger, they carried love fiercely, burning not to destroy but to feel alive. A warm breeze brushes their hair, carrying the faint scent of ash and flowers. The wanderer closes their eyes for a moment, feeling the world's slow heartbeat beneath their feet. Here, too, the bones of the kingdom are not lifeless. They are part of a greater body, the living, breathing soul of reborn. Beyond the horizon, faint outlines shimmer through the haze, the suggestion of another place where color once ruled, where sweetness filled the air and laughter echoed through sugar-coated streets, the Candy Kingdom, or what remains of it. The wanderer turns toward it, beginning their descent into the heart of what was once the most joyful realm in the world. The ground beneath their feet becomes soft again, and the smell of damp earth mingles with something faintly sweet. The air grows warmer, richer, filled with drifting pollen that sparkles faintly when it catches the sun. There are no walls, no fortresses, only meadows, stretching as far as the eye can see, painted in pastel shades of pink and gold. The candy has melted back into the soil. It feeds the flowers now. The land, once a confection of magic and creation, has become something gentler, the sweetness absorbed into the roots, carried upward by stems and leaves. The Candy Kingdom has dissolved, but in its place, a new kind of beauty has taken root. The wanderer moves slowly through what was once the Candy Kingdom, though now it feels more like a dream of it. The meadows hum with gentle life bees, drift lazily from one flower to another, their wings shimmering with a faint sugar glow. The grass sways like the surface of a soft ocean, and here and there the earth glints with buried colors, a fragment of peppermint marble, a melted gumdrop, a curl of hardened caramel now wrapped in roots. The air itself feels sweeter here, carrying with it the faintest trace of laughter, as if the joy of the old days has soaked into the wind and refuses to fade away. The wanderer kneels and brushes away a layer of soil, revealing a pale pink brick, softened by time. Its edges are smooth, but still faintly warm to the touch, as though it remembers the hands that built it. Once these lands were ruled by Princess Bubblegum, a being both creator and caretaker, whose mind balanced science and compassion, logic and love. Her kingdom was a masterpiece of structure and order, held together by her will and her worry. And yet, even the strongest creation must one day yield to the gentle patience of the earth. The wanderer looks around and imagines the towers spun from candy and glass, glowing at twilight, and the laughter that once filled the air. The candy people, those strange little beings of innocence and emotion who lived with such wonder in their tiny hearts. Some say they melted away. Others believe they simply transformed, their essence blending with the soil and sunlight, feeding this forest of color. In the distance, a figure catches the wanderer's eye, a statue half buried in wildflower. As they draw closer, they recognize the shape. A candy soldier, cracked and faded, holding a lollipop spear that's long since turned to wood. The face is blank but serene. Around it, vines of mint and rose have woven themselves in gentle embrace, reclaiming what once stood as defense. The wanderer reaches out, brushing a petal from the statue's chest. The stone hums faintly under their touch, a low, musical vibration like a lullaby. It's as though the land itself is remembering its sweetness, not with longing, but with gratitude. The Candy Kingdom did not die. It became nourishment. Its joy became soil. The wanderer rises, walking deeper into the meadow. Ahead they find a single tree, taller than the rest, its bark faintly tinted pink, and its leaves edged with soft blue light. From its branches hang tiny crystal fruits that glow like stars. When one falls to the ground, it bursts into a faint shimmer before dissolving into the air. The wanderer realizes this is the new heart of the Candy Kingdom, where magic and nature have merged so completely that one can no longer tell where creation ends and growth begins. The tree hums softly. A breeze passes through its branches, carrying a tone that feels like a memory of music, perhaps a song once sung by the princess herself. The wanderer listens, feeling peace wash over them. Ooh has changed, but its heart still beats in harmony with its past. When the wanderer leaves the meadow, they find themselves standing before rolling hills that lead to a quiet valley. There, the outlines of another city shimmer faintly beneath the haze blocky shapes, metallic bones glinting beneath layers of moss and vines. The shapes are geometric, almost mathematical, and for a moment, the wanderer feels the echo of something more rigid, more structured than the other lands. They are approaching the remains of the city of glass, or perhaps the remnants of the old technology kingdom, a place where the machines once sang their songs of progress. The air hums faintly with static, the sound of old circuits remembering how to dream. The wanderer steps carefully, their boots crunching over shards of glass that reflect fragments of the sky. The towers here have long since fallen, their metal frames intertwined with tree roots that hum with low energy. Nature has not destroyed the machine, she has befriended them. Here the vines grow in patterns of circuits, curling around solar panels and screens that flicker with faint light when the wind moves through them. The wanderer touches one of these panels and sees a flicker, the brief image of a familiar face, smiling through static. It fades quickly, leaving only the reflection of the sky. This place feels different from the others. It doesn't mourn its past, it simply integrates it. The mechanical and the organic have learned to speak the same language here. The hum of electricity mixes with the rustle of leaves, forming a soft harmony that fills the valley with peace. The wanderer kneels and brushes away the moss from a small metal plaque. The letters are faded but still legible. To those who sought to understand and those who chose to feel. It's a relic from a time when logic and emotion were at odds, a gentle reminder that even progress must someday rest. The wanderer lingers here for a while, feeling the soft thrum of the valley beneath their palms. In this place, they realize, the future never ended. It simply slowed down, allowing the world to breathe again. As the sun begins to sink behind the hills, the wanderer turns toward the west, where the shadows deepen and the land darkens into a stretch of quiet desert. There, beneath layers of sand and memory, lies the last of the great kingdoms, a place where heroes once gathered, and where the final echoes of the old world still sleep beneath the dust. The wanderer begins their walk toward it, the fading light painting the horizon in shades of amber and violet. The age of quiet magic is alive, and the world itself seems to guide their steps towards the next memory, waiting to be unearthed. The air grows drier as the wanderer moves west. Each step carries them further from the green hum of life, into a place where the wind whispers differently, not through leaves, but across stone and bone. The horizon stretches wide and empty, painted in soft tones of gold and gray, and yet, even here the earth breathes. Even here the silence has a story. The desert ahead was once the heart of something grand, the remnants of the kingdom of heroes, though no map names it anymore. Time has swallowed its monuments, but its presence lingers in the feeling of the ground beneath one's feet, in the strange quiet that feels like respect. The wanderer crests a dune, and below them lies a field of stone markers half buried in the sand. They are not gravestones, but something gentler remnants of what might have been homes, shrines, or simple memories carved by hand. The shapes are uneven, weathered smooth by the wind. Some still carry faint markings, circles, stars, little doodles of swords and clouds. The wanderer kneels beside one, brushing away a layer of dust. The symbol carved into it is simple: a round head, a smiling face, 2 little dots for eyes. It's a symbol known across, the face of a hero drawn 1,000 times by children and bards alike, Finn the human. And suddenly, the wanderer feels that familiar hush, not of fear, but of reverence. This was where the world learned to dream of bravery. This was where the light of hope once burned brightest. They walk among the stones, tracing the shapes left behind by those who came before. Some depict a sword raised high, others a strange bear-like creature with 2 eyes, Jake perhaps, or the memory of him. Their bond still echoes here, carried by the wind that hums softly between the dunes. The wanderer imagines the stories these sands could tell, the laughter that once filled these valleys, the quiet after the battles, the long walks home. They picture Finn standing atop a hill, watching the sun rise over the ruins of what was, not with sorrow, but with understanding. Heroes, after all, never vanish completely. They dissolve into the myth that sustains the world. A faint shimmer catches the wanderer's eye, something small, half buried near a broken stone. They dig gently, revealing the hilt of a blade, its metal dulled by time. It is not the legendary sword those have long been reclaimed by the land, but perhaps one forged in imitation, a child's tribute to a hero they loved. The blade hums softly when the wind brushes against it, a low tone that resonates in the chest more than the ear. The wanderer plants it upright again, letting the wind sing through it. In that sound there is something hauntingly familiar, a lullaby that carries the weight of countless adventures, friendships, and farewells. The melody drifts, slow and endless, and the wanderer feels as though they are standing within the heartbeat of the world itself. As dusk begins to deepen, the sand glows with soft warmth. The setting sun paints the ruins in gold, and for a brief moment, the shadows of 2 figures seem to walk across the dunes, one tall, one small, their outlines flickering like ghosts of light. The wanderer doesn't move. They simply watch, heart quiet, as the vision fades with the sun. Night falls, but not with coldness. The stars bloom across the sky like flowers opening in reverse. The wanderer sits upon the sand, feeling the heat of the day slowly seep away beneath them. The constellations above look strangely familiar, or perhaps they've changed, forming new shapes to honor the new world below. In the silence, the wanderer senses something stirring, not a presence, but an understanding. These are the bones of the kingdoms, yes, but they are not remnants of failure. They are the scaffolding upon which the new world grows. The past is not gone. It simply lies beneath the soil, feeding the roots of what comes next. A soft wind rises, carrying with it whispers that might almost be words. The wanderer listens, hearing faint traces of the old tongue, not speech, but emotion given sound. It speaks of courage, love, and the strange, cyclical dance of loss and renewal. Every era must end so another may breathe. Every kingdom must crumble so that its lessons can seed the next dream. As the night deepens, the wanderer lights a small lantern. The flame burns gently, its glow reflecting in their eyes like twin moons. Around them, the sand catches the light, scattering it in a soft halo. It feels as though the world itself is watching the sky above, the ground below, the ghosts of heroes unseen. They rest there between memory and rebirth, and feel the rhythm of Oo's quiet magic pulsing through the land. In the stillness they understand. The kingdoms may have fallen, but they have not vanished. Their essence now moves through everything, through root and wave, wind and light. The Ice Kingdom breathes in the coolness of morning dew. The Fire Kingdom glows in the warmth of the soil. The Candy Kingdom whispers in the scent of wildflowers. The City of Glass hums in the static of the stars. And the Kingdom of Heroes endures in every heart that dares to wonder what came before. The wanderer closes their eyes. The flame flickers once, then steadies, as though the world has accepted their presence. Somewhere in the distance, a new sound rises faint, like the soft strum of a string, or perhaps the quiet sigh of something ancient stirring awake beneath the surface. They know, then, that this is not the end of their journey. The bones of the kingdoms are only the beginning, the foundation upon which the world is being reborn. And as the night wraps around them like a blanket, the wanderer whispers a soft thanks to the land, to the past, to the dream that still hums beneath their feet. The age of quiet magic is still unfolding, and somewhere beyond the dunes, the next chapter of Ooh waits to be found. The night deepens, and the wanderer rises, brushing sand from the cloak. The dunes roll endlessly ahead, yet there is no rush. For in this quiet world, time has chosen to stretch like honey, slow and deliberate. Every step they take is cushioned by sand and memory. Each movement, a gentle echo of the heroes who once walked these lands. As they journey deeper into the desert, the faint hum of magic grows stronger, not in force or flame, but in resonance. It is subtle, a pulse beneath the earth, like a heartbeat buried under centuries of sleep. The wanderer bends low, letting their fingers brush the surface, feeling the vibration seep into their skin, soft and warm. The bones of kingdoms, they realize, are not just structures. They are stories, held in stone, in glass, in metal and soil, the memories of civilizations folded into the flesh of the world itself. They come upon a valley where jagged remnants of walls and towers scatter like broken teeth. The shapes are angular, geometric, and yet strangely organic, fused with vines and moss. In the center lies what might have once been a great hall. Columns, now half buried, stretch toward the stars like silent sentinels. Each bears carvings of swords, flames, and faces frozen in stone. Some faces seem familiar, as if the wanderer has glimpsed them before, perhaps in a dream, or perhaps in a story told long ago. They move among the ruins carefully, noticing small details. A cracked shield lying half buried in sand, still shimmering faintly with old enchantments. A broken helmet, the inside lined with delicate golden thread. A pair of tiny shoes worn smooth from long walks that are now impossible to trace. These fragments, discarded and forgotten, hum quietly under the touch of time, singing songs of bravery, sorrow, and love. In the distance, a faint shimmer rises from the sand. The wanderer approaches and finds an old statue, toppled and fractured, yet still noble. Its stone is dark, worn smooth by wind and sun, but the form is unmistakable a knight, standing with one hand over their heart, the other extended as if offering guidance. The wanderer kneels beside it, feeling the quiet dignity that radiates even in ruin. In this statue, they sense the hope of an age long gone and the promise that courage, once born, never truly dies. They walk further, stepping carefully over the uneven ground. The moon rises slowly, casting long shadows that ripple across the sand. The wanderer feels a strange intimacy with the land here. These are not ruins merely to be observed. They are memories to be honored. The bones of the kingdoms are alive, not in the sense of movement, but in resonance in the quiet energy that seeps into every stone and grain of sand. Soon they reach a cliff overlooking the desert. From this vantage, the land stretches endlessly, a mosaic of past kingdoms and dreams, stitched together by time and wind. They see valleys where ice once ruled, hills where fire danced, fields that once gleamed with sugar, and cities of glass that now shimmer faintly beneath moss and vine. Each place tells a story, a fragment of history preserved in the language of earth, light, and air. The wanderer kneels, placing a hand upon the rock beneath them. It is cool, rough, and comforting. As they press closer, they feel the pulse of life beneath it. Not the frantic pulse of human heartbeat, but the steady, timeless rhythm of a world that has endured, reshaped itself, and whispered to the future. It is a heartbeat that carries echoes of Finn, Jake, Princess Bubblegum, the Ice King, and countless others who left traces of themselves behind. A faint wind rises, carrying the scent of ash, flowers, and salt. The wanderer closes their eyes, letting the smell, the sound, and the feeling wash over them. Somewhere in this vast expanse, the magic of Ooh has settled into quiet equilibrium. It no longer burns or bursts or shouts, but whispers, humming through roots and stones, through rivers and sand. This is the magic of patience, of memory, of worlds learning to breathe again. In the pale moonlight, the wanderer notices something extraordinary. Tiny lights, like embers or fireflies, rise from the sand and swirl in delicate patterns. They gather around the ruins, circling slowly, weaving through broken columns and fallen walls. The wanderer reaches out, and a light brushes their hand, warm and soft, like the touch of a remembered friend. These are not spirits exactly, but the echoes of life that once thrived here, carried forward by the slow, patient magic of the world itself. The wanderer walks among them, feeling the hum of history, the pulse of memory. Each step is gentle, measured, and in every movement, they honor the bones of kingdoms past. These kingdoms, though broken, are not gone. They have been transformed. Their essence feeds the land, nurturing it as it grows into something new. As the night deepens, the wanderer lies on a dune, letting the sand cradle them. The stars above shift slowly, shimmering in new patterns that echo the forms of ancient towers, swords, and friends long past. The desert hums beneath them, a lullaby of wind and sand, stone and glass, ice and fire. And in that hum, the wanderer hears the truth of Ooh. The kingdoms may have fallen, but they endure in memory, in magic, and in the quiet heartbeat of a world that refuses to forget. The bones of the kingdoms are no longer simply relics. They are the foundation upon which U will rise again, patient, gentle, and reborn. The wanderer closes their eyes, the desert breathing around them like a soft, eternal lullaby. Here in the quiet, they know that magic lives not in chaos or spectacle, but in the patient endurance of memory, in the rhythm of the land, and in the gentle continuity of all that has come before. The wanderer rises with the first pale glow of dawn stretching across the desert horizon. The night has softened the edges of the ruins, smoothing the harshness of fallen stone and glass. They stretch, feeling the slow ache of a body accustomed to long journeys, and then set off once more. Their path is not marked by roads or signs, but by intuition, by the subtle hum of a world that remembers itself. As they walk, the wanderer becomes aware of something deeper than the landscapes themselves, a presence within them that feels almost separate, yet entirely inseparable. It is not merely their own awareness, but a resonance with U itself. The world has whispered to them so often that they have begun to carry its quiet memory in their own bones. The desert wind brushes against their face, carrying scents of sand, ash, and the faint sweetness of the lands beyond. Each inhalation feels like communion, a dialogue spoken without words. The wanderer stops at the crest of a dune, gazing across the valley where the ruins of kingdoms lie sprawled, the bones of castles, the melted towers of fire, the frozen echoes of ice, and the pastel blooms of candy meadows all stretch in a mosaic beneath them. It is a landscape of memory and imagination, of stories that once moved with life, now resting in quiet. The wanderer feels the weight of history here, and not as burden, but as gentle guidance, teaching patience, reverence, and the art of listening. They take a deep breath and feel something stir within their chest. The wanderer is alone in body, but not in spirit. Something walks beside them, faint and unseen, yet profoundly real. It is the spirit of their own journey, shaped by every step taken across quiet plains, ruined cities, and blooming meadows. This spirit is attentive, patient, and reflective a companion, as eternal as the land itself. In the hush of the morning, they hear the softest sound, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. It is a tone not made by lips or instruments, but by the world remembering itself. The wanderer kneels, placing a hand upon the warm sand, and feels it vibrate gently beneath their touch. That hum is the essence of U, its history, its magic, its endless cycles of creation and rebirth. The spirit of the wanderer responds to it, vibrating in harmony with the land. Each step forward becomes a conversation, a meditation. The wanderer walks through valleys where echoes of the past resonate in light and shadow. A toppled tower hums a faint chord. A cluster of flowers sways, releasing tones as the wind brushes their petals. Every fragment of the world carries memory, and the spirit of the wanderer is attuned to it, receiving the stories in the quietest possible way. There is no rush here, no need to hurry. Time feels liquid, stretching like silk across the sky. The wanderer pauses to examine a shard of glass buried in the sand. It reflects the morning sun in fractured colors, and when they hold it to the light, it seems to whisper stories of those who once moved among the kingdoms. The voice is soft, almost inaudible, but the wanderer understands it is the language of remembrance, a communication without words, gentle and enduring. As they move onward, the wanderer finds themselves approaching a narrow canyon, its walls rising like silent watchers. Shadows pool beneath jagged stone, and the air smells of rain that fell long ago. In the hush, they notice small glyphs etched into the rock symbols that speak of journeying, of protection, of memory. They run a hand along one of the carvings, feeling a subtle warmth, a resonance of ancient intent. The spirit within them bends closer, attentive, absorbing the language of a civilization long past. The canyon opens into a hidden glade where water trickles softly over stones, pooling in shallow mirrors that reflect the sky. Here the wanderer kneels and cups the water, drinking slowly. It tastes faintly of metal and earth, of rain and magic. The spirit of the wanderer seems to deepen with every sip, merging with the rhythm of the glade. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat is no longer merely their own. It is intertwined with the life of the world, with the whispers of kingdoms and the subtle magic of a land reborn. From the edge of the glade, soft light falls upon something almost forgotten, a fragment of armor, blackened and twisted but still intact, resting against a root. The wanderer picks it up gently, feeling the pulse of energy that hums faintly beneath its surface. It is a relic, a remnant, and yet is alive in its own quiet way. The spirit of the wanderer reveres it, sensing the history contained within not just battles fought, but choices made, courage expressed, moments of tenderness and fear, all etched invisibly into its very form. The wind moves through the trees and rocks, and the wanderer hears it clearly now. The land is speaking through them. Their spirit has become a vessel for stories that no longer have voices. They continue forward, carrying both their own memory and the memory of the places they traverse. In this way, they are not merely walking through they are walking with it, walking as its heartbeat made manifest. Every dune climbed, every ruin explored, every hidden glade discovered strengthens the bond between wanderer and world. The desert, the plains, the meadows, and the ruins themselves pulse with quiet energy, and the spirit of the wanderer absorbs it all with calm acceptance. They have become not just an observer, but a participant in the living memory of the world. The sun climbs higher, casting shifting shadows across the sand. The wanderer pauses atop a rise, looking back at the path they have walked. It is a ribbon of quiet, a trail of reflection and reverence, marked not in footsteps alone, but in the subtle awakening of the spirit. The wind carries whispers of the past, not demanding attention, but inviting understanding. And the wanderer listens, not as one who seeks answers, but as one who honors what already exists. The journey is slow, unhurried, and in that slowness lies the magic. For the wanderer, the spirit within, and itself, each step is a meditation, every heartbeat a message, every glance a memory, every moment a lullaby, guiding them further into the mysteries of a world quietly, patiently being reborn. The wanderer descends into a valley shaded by towering cliffs, where sunlight filters through in gentle golden beams. The air is cooler here, carrying a faint scent of moss and stone, of rain long past. Every step echoes softly, not with emptiness, but with subtle life, the whisper of tiny creatures moving beneath the soil, the soft rustle of leaves, the slow drip of water from cliffside crevices. The spirit within the wanderer hums with awareness, attuned to the quiet pulse of this secluded world. They pause beside a shallow stream, its surface shimmering with tiny ripples that catch the light like scattered stars. The water sings in its own gentle way, a tune made of reflection and flow, of continuity and quiet strength. The wanderer bends, trailing a hand through the current, and feels the subtle vibration of long-forgotten enchantments, not strong enough to dominate, but persistent enough to be felt by those who listen. In this, the spirit of the wanderer recognizes a lesson. Magic, in its truest form, does not demand attention. It persists quietly, patient, and enduring. Further along the stream, the wanderer discovers remnants of an old bridge, its supports broken and worn smooth by time. Vines crawl along the stone, curling like fingers, and tiny flowers bloom in the cracks. They step carefully across what remains, feeling beneath their feet the slow heartbeat of the earth. The spirit within them moves in tandem with the land, a mirror of quiet patience and reflective curiosity. The bridge is more than a passage. It is a symbol of connection between the past and the present, between memory and renewal. On the far side of the stream, the wanderer encounters a grove of twisted, ancient trees. Their branches arch high, forming natural vaults overhead. Sunlight filters in, falling in scattered patterns of gold and green, and the ground is soft with fallen leaves. Here the wanderer senses the weight of countless lives once lived beneath these boughs. Not just humans or sentient beings, but the earth itself, shaped by the passage of time and the footsteps of those who loved, fought, and dreamed here. Among the roots, they notice small carvings, subtle and nearly erased, initials, symbols, and tiny sketches of swords, hearts, and stars. The spirit of the wanderer bends closer, brushing fingers lightly across the markings. Each trace carries a whisper of its maker, a quiet story folded into the tree's bark. The wanderer feels a deep calm in this, a sense that even the smallest acts of expression endure, gently woven into the fabric of the world. A soft breeze passes, carrying a faint, almost musical hum. The wanderer stops, listening. It is not a sound of alarm or command, but of presence. It flows around them, through them, resonating with the spirit that moves alongside them. They understand that this is the world acknowledging their journey, a reminder that to move gently, to observe, and to honor what is to become part of the eternal rhythm. Continuing on, they find a hollow at the base of an enormous tree, shaded and cool. Inside lies the faint impression of an old campsite, a circle of stones, scorched lightly, and a few scattered charred remains of a fire. The wanderer kneels beside it, tracing the stones with careful fingers. Perhaps it was the resting place of a hero, or perhaps just a traveler who paused here once. The spirit within them feels a kinship with whoever had rested in this hollow long ago. The land remembers their presence, and the wanderer, in turn, carries that memory forward. They sit for a long while in the hollow, letting the gentle hum of the grove fill them. Their breathing falls into rhythm with the whispering leaves and the trickling water nearby. The spirit of the wanderer does not rush. It simply observes, absorbs, and reflects. Every sensation, every trace of past presence, every vibration of the earth becomes part of the ongoing story they carry. Time passes unnoticed, folded into the quiet of the grove. The wanderer leans back against the tree, eyes half closed, feeling the pulse of the land beneath them. The spirit within seems to stretch, elongating with the earth's rhythm, attuning fully to the age of quiet magic that has settled over Ooh. They realize that the journey is not about reaching a destination, but about becoming attuned to memory, to magic, to the subtle flow of life. Above them, sunlight shifts, casting long, dappled shadows. A bird glides silently across the light, its wings moving without sound. The spirit of the wanderer rises with it, following the motion, merging reflection and observation into a single, calm awareness. They feel the weight of solitude not as loneliness, but as freedom, the freedom to move with the world, to listen to its story and to let that story become part of their own quiet rhythm. The wanderer finally rises from the hollow, the soft earth leaving impressions on their cloak, and steps carefully through the grove. Each footfall is deliberate, measured, as though they are tracing the heartbeat of the land. The trees, now tall sentinels overhead, seem to lean slightly, casting long shadows that stretch across the moss-covered ground. The wind carries a faint scent of damp wood and subtle flowers, a reminder that life, in all its quiet persistence, continues even where kingdoms have fallen. As they walk, the wanderer notices faint tracks, impressions left by small animals, the curve of a fox's paw, the delicate scrape of a bird's claws. Even these smallest lives carry echoes of movement through ooh, and the spirit of the wanderer bends toward them, attentive, respectful, as if listening to the whispers of existence itself. Each track tells a story, a reminder that even in the age of quiet magic, life thrives in the forms both humble and enduring. Further along, the grove opens into a meadow bathed in morning light, soft and gentle, almost hesitant in its brilliance. The grass ripples like waves, dotted with wildflowers in shades of pale pink, cream, and violet. Here the wanderer feels the pulse of ooh, most clearly subtle, persistent, patient. The hum of energy beneath the ground resonates faintly through their boots, mingling with the quiet rhythm of their heartbeat. The spirit within them seems to stretch, expanding into the meadow itself as if they are no longer a single being, but part of the land's own slow, deliberate pulse. Amid the flowers, the wanderer spots remnants of old enchantments, tiny shards of colored glass, faintly etched with runes that shimmer in the sunlight. They pick one up, holding it between fingers, and feel the warmth of old magic lingering within. It is not forceful or overwhelming. Rather, it is gentle, like a sigh or a memory. The spirit of the wanderer recognizes it as a fragment of history, a whisper of the worlds and wonders that once thrived here, now folded into the soil and the air. A soft breeze lifts through the meadow, scattering pollen and petals in delicate spirals. It brushes the wanderer's face, carrying faint, almost imperceptible scents, honey, rain-washed earth, and something faintly metallic, like the memory of swords long returned to dust. The spirit within the wanderer trembles lightly in response, attuned to the subtle symphony of the reborn world. Every sound, every scent, every vibration is a story, and they move through it, as though reading the pages of a book written in wind and sunlight. Beyond the meadow, a hill rises gently, crowned with the skeleton of what once may have been a watchtower. Its stone is weathered, softened by centuries, yet it stands resilient, defiant against the erosion of time. The wanderer climbs slowly, hands brushing the cool surface of stone, feeling the resonance of countless sunsets and storms that have passed over this place. Their spirit rises with each step, moving in tandem with the land's own rhythm, sensing how the world itself remembers its past, without bitterness or longing, only gentle acknowledgement. At the summit, they pause to look out over the expanse before them. The valleys, forests, and distant ruins stretch endlessly, a patchwork of memory and quiet magic. The wanderer closes their eyes, breathing slowly, feeling the wind pass through their hair, their cloak, their very bones. The spirit within them hums softly, harmonizing with the silent symphony of the world. In this, the wanderer feels both infinitesimal and infinite, a single traveler, yet a vessel for the echoes of kingdoms, heroes, and ancient magic. The journey continues downward into a narrow valley where the ground is dotted with small mounds, traces of dwellings, the foundations of villages, perhaps even resting places for those who lived in a time before legend. The wanderer kneels beside one, brushing away sand and moss, revealing faint carvings, a sun, a sword, a tree, a pair of intertwined shapes. Each mark speaks softly to the wanderer's spirit, reminding them that even the smallest gestures leave traces, and that every life, no matter how quiet or brief, contributes to the eternal pulse of the world. As dusk approaches, the light softens into shades of rose and lavender. The shadows stretch long, wrapping around the mounds and ruins, settling gently upon the earth. The wanderer sits among them, feeling the warmth of the ground beneath and the cool caress of evening air. Their spirit seems to expand outward, merging with the land's quiet heartbeat, absorbing the lessons of resilience, patience, and remembrance. Above, the first stars appear, shy at first, then bolder as night deepens. The spirit of the wanderer lifts with them, following their slow ascent, weaving through constellations that have shifted over centuries. Some stars seem to form familiar shapes: a sword, a dog, a crown, faint echoes of heroes and kingdoms long past. Each twinkle carries memory, and the wanderer allows their spirit to dance lightly among them, not as conqueror, but as witness and companion. They feel the weight of solitude transform into something entirely different, not loneliness, but connection. The wanderer is not merely a traveler moving through a silent world. They are part of its quiet pulse, a living echo of its memory. In the age of quiet magic, the spirit of the wanderer is both guide and student, learning the slow rhythm of a land that has endured and will endure, carrying forward the traces of all who came before. The night settles fully around them, a soft cloak of indigo and silver. The wanderer lies down upon the warm earth, gazing up at the stars, feeling the subtle vibrations of ooh beneath them. The spirit within hums softly, attuned completely to the world's gentle song. And in that harmony, they know that to walk through memory, to honor ruins and echoes, is itself a form of magic, quiet, patient, and eternal. The night deepens into a serene stillness, and the wanderer remains lying upon the warm earth, their cloak wrapped loosely around them. The stars above shimmer faintly, each one a distant witness to the slow unfolding of Ooh's quiet magic. The air is cool but gentle, carrying whispers of lands far beyond the desert, of forests, rivers, and kingdoms reborn in silence. The spirit of the wanderer feels both weightless and grounded, as though it exists simultaneously within their body and throughout the world itself. Slowly they rise and continue along the valley floor. The ground here is soft, dotted with tiny plants that glow faintly in the moonlight, as if carrying fragments of ancient spells within their leaves. The wanderer pauses, bending low to study them. Each plant seems to pulse subtly, a heartbeat in miniature, a small yet persistent proof that life endures even in the remnants of a world once fractured. The spirit of the wanderer leans close, allowing the quiet rhythm of the flora to sync with their own, learning to move with the slow, deliberate pace of rebirth. Further on, they discover a small pool, perfectly still, its surface like glass under the moon's gentle gaze. The water is faintly warm, and as the wanderer kneels beside it, their reflection shimmers, blending with the stars above. The spirit within them observes quietly, recognizing the intertwining of self and world, of present and memory. In this reflection, the wanderer sees fragments of all that they have passed, the ruins of ice and fire, the flowering candy meadows, the valleys of forgotten heroes. Each element is a note in a quiet symphony, and they are both listener and instrument. A soft rustle draws their attention. From the shadow of a boulder emerges a small creature, delicate and almost ethereal in form. It moves cautiously, its eyes reflecting curiosity rather than fear. The wanderer remains still, letting the spirit of patience guide them. Slowly the creature approaches, sniffing the air, then retreats to the undergrowth, leaving behind a trace of phosphorescent dust. The wanderer smiles softly, understanding that the world continues to interact in subtle ways, rewarding those who move gently and honor its rhythms. The path ahead rises into a gentle slope, where remnants of an ancient bridge stretch across a dry riverbed. The supports are weathered and cracked, but vines have woven themselves through the gaps, transforming the structure into a living corridor. The wanderer steps carefully across it, each footfall echoing faintly against stone and root. The spirit within them resonates with the bridge, sensing the stories embedded in its arc tales of travelers who once crossed it, of messengers, of heroes, and wanderers like themselves. At the far end of the bridge, the land opens into a quiet glade, where moonlight filters through tall, arching trees. The shadows dance softly upon the ground, and the wanderer notices faint, almost imperceptible carvings in the bark initials, symbols, small marks of those who passed before. They run a hand lightly over them, feeling the slow, enduring energy etched into each line. The spirit of the wanderer absorbs these traces, understanding that memory is not confined to words or stories. It is written in the very fabric of the land, waiting for those who walk gently enough to read it. A subtle sound reaches their ears, soft as a sigh, like the rustling of leaves in a distant forest. It carries the weight of old adventures and quiet victories, of laughter and tears long past, and the wanderer follows it instinctively. The sound leads them to a small clearing where the remnants of a campsite lie scattered. Charred stones, a few fragments of pottery, and the faintest imprint of a sleeping mat pressed into the earth. They kneel, brushing away layers of moss and soil, sensing the presence of someone who rested here long ago. The spirit of the wanderer hums in recognition, honoring the ephemeral lives that shaped this world even as it moved toward rebirth. Above the clearing, the sky begins to pale with the first hint of dawn. Soft light spills across the glade, illuminating tiny motes of dust floating in the air. Each particle seems to carry a memory, a fragment of magic, a whisper of those who have walked before. The wanderer breathes slowly, feeling the pulse of life and memory interweaving, the spirit within resonating with every subtle vibration. The quiet magic of Oo does not shout. It does not demand attention. It persists gently, patiently, enduring in silence, and the wanderer has become a part of it. They rise once more and continue along a winding path that leads deeper into the land. Every step is deliberate, measured, as though each movement itself is a form of prayer, a gesture of respect for the age that has passed, and the quiet that has settled in its wake. Shadows stretch long, soft against the ground, and the stars slowly fade, leaving the pale light of dawn to wash over the valley. The spirit of the wanderer feels renewed, strengthened by the communion with the world, and in this communion, they understand that their journey is not about discovery alone, but about attunement to memory, to magic, and to the enduring rhythm of Oo. As the sun rises fully, bathing the land in gentle gold and amber, the wanderer pauses atop a small hill, looking back over the valley they have traversed. The ruins, the meadows, the bridges, and the glades form a living tapestry of memory and quiet magic. The spirit within them hums in harmony with the pulse of the land, each beat a gentle reminder that life, even when quiet and hidden, continues. The wanderer breathes deeply, feeling the world breathe with them, and as the morning light warms their skin, they understand something profound. To walk through Oo as it is reborn is not to conquer or to possess, but to witness, to honor, and to become a quiet vessel for the stories and magic that endure. In this way, the spirit of the wanderer moves forward, carrying with it the lessons of patience, reverence, and gentle strength. They are no longer merely a traveler, but a guardian of memory, a participant in the silent rebirth of kingdoms, and a witness to the subtle, enduring magic that flows through all things. Before we continue tonight's gentle journey through Oo Reborn, the age of quiet magic, I'd love to hear from you once more. Where are you watching from, and what time is it for you tonight? Let the comments fill with your voices, tiny lights, stretching across the world, connecting us in this quiet moment. All right, let's draw the blankets a little tighter, settle in, and step softly into our next tale. The wanderer continues through a forest where the trees seem older than memory itself. Their trunks rise like silent towers, and their roots coil beneath the soil, twisting together in patterns that hint at some forgotten order. Here the air hums faintly, a subtle vibration that brushes against the senses rather than striking them directly. The spirit of the wanderer tunes into this hum, feeling it flow not just around them, but through them, a gentle pulse that resonates with every fiber of their being. Magic in this new age is different. It is no longer loud or spectacular. The great pyres and erupting spells of the past have softened into quiet streams of energy that run beneath the land, through roots, rocks, and rivers. This is magic that listens, that folds itself into the everyday, that thrives in patience rather than power. And it is here, in the quiet pulse of the forest, that the new weavers of magic begin to appear, delicate and unassuming, yet endlessly attentive to the world around them. The first figure emerges from the shadows, small and cloaked in deep green, almost blending entirely with the forest. Their steps are silent, their movements measured, like a stream flowing over moss-covered stones. The wanderer watches with quiet fascination as the figure kneels beside a patch of luminescent fungi, tracing its growth with a slender hand. With each touch, the fungi respond, their glow intensifying slightly before fading back into subtle brilliance. This is a weaver of magic, the wanderer realizes, someone who coaxes the latent energy of the land into gentle expression, guiding it rather than commanding it. The forest around them seems alive in response. Leaves shiver, tiny motes of light dance in the air, and the wind carries faint notes of melody, not music exactly, but a resonance that feels like a conversation between living things. The wanderer steps closer, careful not to disturb the subtle balance of the moment. The figure senses them, and for a heartbeat, their eyes meet, calm and unafraid. In that glance there is understanding. This is not a land to dominate, but to inhabit, to weave into, quietly, respectfully, like threads in an eternal tapestry. Further along, the wanderer encounters another weaver, a being whose presence feels like water made visible. Their hands move through the air, tracing shapes that leave faint ripples in the light, guiding currents of magical energy that seem to follow the contours of the land itself. Every gesture is deliberate, patient, and graceful, a soft choreography that shapes the subtle forces surrounding them. The air hums more strongly here, not in warning, but in recognition, as if the forest itself acknowledges the touch of those who honor it. The wanderer observes quietly, their own spirits swelling in resonance with the patterns of energy around them. They notice that these new weavers do not work in isolation. Even from a distance, they sense a silent network connecting each one, threads of magic stretching like filaments through roots, stones, and streams, weaving together a web that binds the land into harmony. It is not control, but communion. Not force, but collaboration. A soft rustle draws their attention to the edge of the glade, where a third figure kneels beside a stream. Their hands are submerged in the water, stirring it gently, and tiny sparks of light rise with each movement, hovering like fireflies before settling back into the stream. The wanderer notices the water responding in patterns that resemble constellations, as though the universe itself is mirrored in this small, delicate act. This is the new rhythm of magic, subtle, quiet, integrated into life itself, moving not in grand gestures, but in patience and reflection. The wanderer steps closer to watch, careful not to interrupt the silent weaving. The figure pauses and looks up, their eyes reflecting the moonlight that still lingers in soft patches through the canopy. There is no alarm, no hostility, only awareness and gentle acknowledgement. The wanderer senses that these new weavers understand a truth long forgotten, that magic is strongest not when it dominates, but when it harmonizes, when it listens, when it becomes part of the quiet breathing of the world. The forest responds to their presence as well. Leaves sway in patterns that echo the movements of the weaver's hands. Small creatures stir from hidden burrows and branch crevices, curious but unafraid. Even the stones seem to hum faintly, carrying traces of past enchantments, now repurposed into subtle, living currents. The wanderer feels their spirit expand, flowing along these currents, moving in tandem with the new magic that flows through every living thing, every memory, every fragment of the land. Paths that once held kingdoms now support life in new ways. The ruins of castles are now overgrown with moss, and in the delicate interstices between stone and root, the energy of the land gathers. The new weavers move among these spaces, coaxing, listening, guiding, and stitching together the quiet magic into something gentle, enduring, and patient. It is a slow work, but one that carries the weight of eternity in its soft persistence. As dawn begins to spread across the treetops, the wanderer pauses at the edge of a small clearing. Here the forest opens into a meadow, and dozens of new weavers are at work. Some trace patterns in the air, others kneel beside the earth, planting seeds that hum with potential. The wind carries their subtle song, not a song of battle or spectacle, but a lullaby, a rhythm of growth and connection. The spirit of the wanderer moves among them, sensing that this is a turning point. The old kingdoms may have fallen, the grand magic may have quieted, but life itself continues, guided by patient hands and gentle hearts. The wanderer steps lightly into the meadow, careful not to disturb the intricate patterns the weavers have created. Each movement seems to carry intention, shaping currents of magic that flow through the grass and flowers, twisting light and air into delicate, shimmering threads. The spirit of the wanderer feels a quiet resonance here, a connection that reaches beyond self into the very pulse of ooh itself. This is a magic of attention, of care, of gentle persistence. Among the weavers, some carry tools fashioned from natural materials, slender sticks that hum faintly when held, stones etched with symbols, or leaves folded into intricate shapes. They move with deliberate rhythm, coaxing energy into patterns that are invisible to all but those who know how to see. The wanderer notices how each gesture is deliberate but effortless, as though the world itself is responding to these gentle hands. Every step, every touch, every breath contributes to a web of harmony that stretches across the meadow and beyond. The wanderer observes a weaver kneeling beside a small stream. With hands submerged, they guide currents of water into delicate spirals, tracing shapes that shift and shimmer like liquid light. Tiny sparks rise from the surface, dancing over the water like fireflies, then settle into the soil, nourishing the roots beneath. It is subtle work, slow and patient, but the results are profound. The stream carries vitality, not just in water, but in magic itself, infused gently into the land. The wanderer leans closer, sensing the energy as a soft vibration through the earth beneath their knees, and the spirit within them aligns naturally with the rhythm. Some weavers move silently across the grass, their footsteps leaving faint trails of luminescence. Others guide small creatures, rabbits, birds, and insects, through carefully woven paths that preserve the balance of life. Nothing is forced, and nothing hurried. Every action is in dialogue with the land, as though each weaver understands the profound truth. To sustain the world is not to conquer it, but to listen to it, to become part of its patient unfolding. The wanderer's attention drifts to the edges of the meadow, where ruins of an old castle rise gently above the grass. Moss and vines cling to broken walls, and fragments of stone hum faintly with latent magic. Here some weavers work with deliberate care, coaxing the energy from the ruins into the living world. Tiny roots entwine with the stone, carrying whispers of the past into new growth. The wanderer feels the weight of history fold into the present, and their spirit vibrates in light reverence. The old kingdoms, though fallen, are not lost. They provide a foundation upon which the new magic takes root. A breeze rises through the meadow, carrying the subtle scent of flowers, wet earth, and faint traces of old enchantments. The weavers respond instinctively, hands moving in delicate gestures that direct the currents of energy. The light shifts, catching on the patterns in the air and creating faint arcs of luminescence that ripple across the meadow. The wanderer moves slowly among them, feeling the harmony of purpose, of patience, of gentle creation. The spirit within them is no longer separate. It has become part of the rhythm of the land, attuned to its soft, enduring heartbeat. In one corner of the meadow, a cluster of weavers gathers around a small circle of stones, weaving subtle glyphs into the air. The patterns shimmer faintly, tracing constellations, geometric shapes, and symbols of growth. The wanderer kneels nearby, allowing the spirit within them to absorb the energy without interference. This work is not about recognition or grandeur. It is about presence, about tending to the subtle currents of life and memory, about guiding magic without demanding its obedience. Time passes slowly, measured not by hours or sun, but by the shifting patterns of light, the gentle ripples of the stream, and the soft hum of life all around. The wanderer continues to move among the weavers, feeling a deep sense of belonging. They are no longer merely an observer. They are a participant in this quiet transformation. The spirit of the wanderer stretches outward, entwining with the energy of the meadow, the stream, the ruins, and the trees, becoming part of the tapestry of reborn magic that flows through Oo. As the sun climbs higher, casting a gentle glow over the meadow, the wanderer pauses on a rise overlooking the field. From this vantage, the full scope of the new weaving becomes apparent. Currents of light and energy flow seamlessly through the land, guided by the patient hands of those who understand the subtle art of quiet magic. The wanderer breathes deeply, feeling the harmony, the patience, and the gentle persistence of life itself. Their spirit resonates fully with the pulse of the world, attuned to the rhythm of growth, memory, and transformation. The age of loud, grand gestures has passed. The new weavers of magic understand that the power of the world lies not in spectacle, but in attention, not in force, but in patience, not in domination, but in harmony. And the wanderer, moving quietly among them, feels the weight and grace of this new era settle into their bones, into their spirit, into the very rhythm of Oo itself. The wanderer steps carefully down into the heart of the meadow, letting the soft hum of magic guide their path. The weavers move like currents in a gentle river, their hands tracing invisible lines that shape the world with patience and care. Light bends around them subtly, reflecting the quiet energy that flows from their gestures. The wanderer feels this energy brushing against their own spirit, a gentle caress that encourages reflection, stillness, and a sense of belonging. Among the tall grasses, tiny motes of light drift lazily, responding to the presence of the weavers and the wanderer alike. Some hover above flowers, coaxing them to open fully, their petals unfurling slowly, revealing faintly glowing veins. Others gather above the old ruins scattered throughout the meadow, tracing delicate patterns along broken stone and moss-covered walls. The wanderer watches in calm awe as the land itself seems to awaken, as though recognizing that it is being tended with reverence and care rather than seized or commanded. The spirit of the wanderer stretches further, following the currents of energy as they wind through the meadow into the ruins and beyond. They sense the patterns the weavers create, delicate threads that interlace with roots, rocks, and streams, forming a vast web of quiet, enduring magic. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, unless one knows how to see and feel, and yet the impact is profound. The meadow breathes more deeply, the water sings more clearly, and even the wind seems to hum in tune with this careful orchestration. The wanderer comes upon a small circle of weavers, kneeling in unison around a young tree that has struggled to grow amid the ruins. Their hands hover over the roots, coaxing life gently, encouraging the earth to release nutrients, the wind to carry seeds, the rain to fall just so. Each movement is deliberate and slow, each gesture infused with attention, patience, and care. The spirit of the wanderer bends closer, feeling the quiet pulse of growth and renewal resonate through their own being. As they watch, the small bird lands on a branch above the tree, tilting its head curiously at the scene. Its feathers catch the light in subtle flashes, and the wanderer senses that even the smallest life is aware of this careful weaving. The weavers do not command, they do not force. They invite, guide, and nurture. Their magic is a gentle conversation with the world, a quiet partnership rather than a display of dominance. The sun climbs higher, scattering warmth and light across the meadow, and the wanderer moves among the weavers once more, feeling the pulse of their collective presence. Every step they take harmonizes with the movements of the land, the water, the ruins, and the hidden energy that hums beneath it all. The meadow, the forest edges, the stream, and the remnants of castles all join in a symphony of quiet magic, shaped by those who understand the patience and subtlety required to sustain it. In one corner of the meadow, a weaver kneels beside a small pool, tracing shapes into the water that shimmer like stars. The ripples extend outward, merging with the gentle currents of magic that flow unseen beneath the land. The wanderer kneels nearby, letting their spirit flow into the patterns, feeling the pulse of life, memory, and growth converge in this quiet, deliberate weaving. It is a soft, patient power, one that reshapes the world not through force, but through understanding, attention, and care. The ruins surrounding the meadow, once silent monuments to a bygone era, now hum with subtle life. Vines curl around shattered walls, infusing the stone with gentle energy. Tiny seedlings sprout from cracks, encouraged by invisible currents that the new weavers direct with delicate hands. The wanderer moves carefully among them, feeling the heartbeat of the world in every stone, root, and leaf. The spirit within them aligns fully with this rhythm, absorbing the patience, the reverence, and the subtle artistry of this quiet magic. A breeze lifts through the meadow, carrying faint whispers of ancient spells. The wanderer feels it brush their hair and skin, a caress that seems almost sentient, acknowledging their presence as a witness and participant. The weavers respond instinctively, adjusting the currents, tracing new patterns, and guiding the energy in harmony with the land. The meadow, the ruins, the stream, and even the faintly glowing air itself seem to pulse with awareness, a gentle reminder that magic thrives most when it is quiet, attentive, and respectful. As the light begins to soften toward evening, the wanderer pauses on a small rise overlooking the meadow. From here, the full scope of the weaver's work is visible. Currents of light and subtle energy thread through the grass, stream, and ruins, weaving an invisible web of care, patience, and renewal. Every motion, every gesture, Every breath contributes to the harmony of the land. The spirit of the wanderer feels the weight and grace of this effort, resonating with it fully. The weaver's magic is not meant to dominate or dazzle. It is the magic of tending, of listening, of nurturing what is fragile and unseen. It is a slow, deliberate weaving of life and memory into the world itself. The wanderer moves among them quietly, absorbing this lesson in humility, patience, and gentle power. They understand that the rebirth of Oo depends not on grand displays or sudden victories, but on the persistent, careful weaving of magic into the fabric of the world, one quiet gesture at a time. The meadow stretches outward into forests and valleys, rivers and hills, carrying the influence of the new weavers into every corner of the land. The wanderer steps lightly, feeling their spirit move in tandem with the flows of energy. They are no longer a lone traveler observing magic. They have become part of its quiet rhythm, a vessel through which the subtle currents of life and memory move, intertwining with the pulse of the world. The day wanes and the first stars begin to appear, shimmering faintly in the deepening sky. The wanderer pauses, gazing upward, feeling the harmony of the meadow, the ruins, and the forest stretch into the heavens. Their spirit hums softly, attuned fully to the enduring rhythm of the land and the patient artistry of those who weave its magic. And in this moment, they understand the quiet truth of Oo reborn. Magic is no longer loud, no longer forceful, no longer fleeting. It is patient, enduring, and infinitely subtle, flowing through all things, guided by hands that know the value of gentle attention and care. The wanderer lingers in the meadow as night deepens, feeling the subtle vibrations of magic flowing beneath their feet, through the ruins, and into the living tapestry woven by the new practitioners. The weaver's movements are gentle, deliberate, and almost imperceptible, yet the results are profound. The air itself seems to pulse softly with life, the grass swaying as if breathing, the leaves rustling in delicate harmony. Every creature, every stone, every whisper of wind is a participant in this quiet symphony of renewal. A small firefly, luminescent and delicate, hovers near the wanderer. Its light flickers softly in response to the currents of magic in the meadow. The wanderer smiles faintly, sensing the connection between even the smallest life and the subtle energy that threads the world together. The spirit within them expands, reaching into the patterns created by the weavers, allowing themselves to become a part of the network rather than a mere observer. In a distant corner of the meadow, a weaver kneels beside an ancient stone pedestal. With careful, deliberate gestures, they trace lines along its surface, coaxing the old, dormant magic to awaken once more. The stone responds faintly at first, then more fully, as small arcs of light and subtle warmth flow along the carved runes. The wanderer watches with quiet reverence, feeling the patient labor of this work, the reverence it demands, and the enduring power it creates. This is the essence of the new magic. It does not scream for attention. It persists, reshapes, and nurtures with an almost imperceptible grace. The wind shifts gently, carrying the faint scent of rain and blooming flowers from far-off hills. The weavers respond instinctively, their movements echoing the patterns of the wind, shaping currents of energy that flow like rivers through the meadow and beyond. The wanderer notices the rhythm of their work, slow but unbroken, like the heartbeat of the world itself. Every gesture harmonizes with the earth, water, and air, forming a web of subtle influence that reaches far beyond the immediate space, touching forests, rivers, and hidden glades. The wanderer moves among the weavers quietly, sensing their intention with each step. Some are bending to plant seeds in the soil, coaxing life from earth that has grown quiet over centuries. Others trace patterns in the air, invisible threads that hum faintly with energy. Each motion is a part of a larger choreography, a slow and deliberate weaving that strengthens the bonds between memory, life, and magic. The spirit of the wanderer flows naturally among these currents, attuned to the quiet pulse that guides all movement here. The ruins scattered across the meadow hum with faint life, their stones now conduits for the new magic. Vines curl around broken walls, infused with energy, carrying remnants of ancient enchantments into fresh growth. Small flowers bloom in the cracks, nourished by currents the weavers have coaxed into the land. The wanderer kneels beside one such flower, touching a petal lightly and feeling a vibration ripple through their fingers, a pulse of memory and magic intertwined. They sense the presence of those who once walked here, their echoes folded gently into the soil, now joining with the patient work of those who weave anew. A soft chorus of night creatures begins to rise as darkness settles further. Crickets, owls, and tiny forest animals contribute their own quiet rhythms to the symphony of life. The weaver's hands move in harmony with this nocturnal music, guiding energy subtly, allowing the land to breathe in time with their care. The wanderer breathes deeply, sensing the unity of all things, the seamless intertwining of spirit, life, and magic. In a small grove near the edge of the meadow, another weaver traces a complex pattern into the air, invisible but tangible in its effect. The energy flows outward, wrapping around trees, stones, and the air itself, connecting everything in a lattice of patient influence. The wanderer steps closer, allowing their spirit to merge with this web, feeling the faint tug of currents that stretch far beyond the eye. It is a delicate balance, sustained only through awareness, patience, and respect, and the wanderer understands that they are witnessing something rare, a new age of magic, quiet but enduring, gentle but profoundly powerful. The stars above begin to fill the sky, mirrored faintly in the small pools scattered through the meadow. Light from the heavens seems to mingle with the currents of earth and magic, creating a subtle tapestry that stretches across land, stone, and water. The spirit of the wanderer expands with this flow, sensing that the magic here is not just a tool or force, but a living, breathing entity, patient, observant, and quietly shaping the future of Wu. The weavers continue their work, moving seamlessly between the ruins, the streams, and the meadows, never hurried, never seeking recognition. They coax life, nurture growth, and preserve memory, and in doing so, they remind the wanderer and all who would follow that the true strength of magic lies not in spectacle, but in harmony, patience, and the careful tending of the world's heartbeat. As the night deepens, the wanderer pauses atop a gentle rise, looking over the meadow where the weaver's influence has spread. Currents of subtle light and magic flow across the land, connecting ruins, stones, plants, and creatures in a delicate web of renewal. The wind carries whispers of ancient enchantments and new beginnings alike, threading together past and present, memory and potential. The spirit within the wanderer resonates fully with this web, feeling both the weight of history and the gentle power of patient creation. In the age of quiet magic, the world does not roar, it whispers, it flows, it endures. And the wanderer, walking gently among the new weavers, understands that this is the rebirth of Wu, patient, subtle, and infinitely alive, guided by hands that know the value of gentleness, reverence, and care. The night settles fully, stars shimmering like scattered gems above, and the wanderer stands quietly among the meadow, their spirit intertwined with the rhythm of the land, the pulse of life, and the patient weaving of magic that continues unseen yet profoundly present. All right, nestle in, Pull the blankets closer, and let's step quietly into our next tale. The wanderer moves out of the meadow, following a winding path that leads through the remains of a forest older than most of Oo's known history. The trees here are sparse, but they stand tall, their gnarled branches twisting skyward like fingers reaching for a sun they will never see again. Between the roots lie fragments of stone, twisted metal, and other remnants of a time when heroes walked openly and magic was bold and unmistakable. The spirit of the wanderer hums softly, sensing the echoes of deeds long past, resonating faintly through the quiet land. Amid the roots of a massive tree, the wanderer discovers the first relic. It is small, almost unremarkable at first glance, a fragment of a sword blade, dulled and chipped, yet still radiating a faint pulse of magic. They kneel beside it, brushing away the dust and moss that cling to its surface. As fingers trace the grooves worn by centuries, the wanderer feels a subtle vibration beneath their palm, a memory of swings, battles, and protective acts. It is not a loud power, but a quiet one, a testament to the endurance of heroism, even after its world has shifted and softened. Further along the path, the wanderer comes across a shattered shield, its edges jagged, its surface etched with symbols worn smooth by time. They pause, pressing a hand lightly against the stone-like surface, feeling the faint warmth of energy still lingering. The shield speaks softly, telling a story of defense, courage, and the slow unraveling of kingdoms once full of life. The spirit of the wanderer listens carefully, absorbing these whispers, understanding that, even in ruin, the intentions of heroes endure, shaping the land in ways subtle but unending. In a clearing ahead, fragments of armor lie scattered among wildflowers. Each piece is faded and broken, yet they carry the resonance of someone who once stood steadfast, who faced trials with courage. The wanderer kneels among them, noticing the way moss and vines curl around the metal, as if the earth itself is holding and honoring the memory of those who wore it. The spirit within them hums in quiet reverence, recognizing the patience of time, the persistence of history, and the subtle magic that lingers where great deeds once occurred. Beyond the clearing, a faint light catches the wanderer's eye. It glimmers from beneath a pile of rubble, a gauntlet still intact, etched with faint runes that sparkle in the half-light. The wanderer reaches for it gently, feeling the hum of magic beneath their fingertips. The relic is not merely an object, but a vessel of memory and intention. The spirit of the wanderer senses the echoes of battles fought, promises kept, and sacrifices made. This is the quiet magic of heroism, folded into the very fabric of Ooh, waiting to be felt, remembered, and honored. As they move deeper into the valley, more relics reveal themselves. A broken crown lies half buried in the soil, engraved with faint jewels that catch the dim sunlight. A tattered banner rests against a crumbling wall, its colors muted but still hinting at the identity of a kingdom long vanished. The wanderer moves carefully among these remnants, recognizing that each artifact carries more than physical presence. It holds the resonance of memory, the faint hum of enchantment, and the quiet imprint of those who shaped history in subtle but lasting ways. They pause beside an old chest, its hinges rusted and warped, yet still containing remnants of the past. A map, a journal with pages crumbling into dust, and a small medallion inscribed with symbols that shimmer faintly when touched. The wanderer lifts the medallion gently, feeling the pulse of quiet magic it carries. It speaks softly, telling stories of adventures, camaraderie, and the slow weaving of lives intertwined with the magic of Ooh. The spirit of the wanderer hums in response, absorbing these threads, allowing them to mingle with the currents of the land. Even as the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, painting the valley in muted amber and rose, the wanderer continues to uncover relics, fragments of wands, shards of enchanted crystal, and a small worn journal whose pages smell faintly of parchment and rain. Each item, no matter how small or damaged, carries the echo of its former owner. The spirit within the wanderer grows attuned to these subtle vibrations, learning to listen deeply, to honor what is past without trying to restore it to its original form. Among the ruins of a stone hall, the wanderer discovers a sword embedded in the ground, its hilt encrusted with moss, its blade dulled by centuries of exposure. They kneel, pressing a hand over the hilt, and feel the resonance of countless acts of bravery. The energy is quiet but persistent, a testament to the enduring impact of heroes whose deeds, though long past, have left an indelible imprint on the world. The spirit of the wanderer bends closer, absorbing the subtle magic and allowing it to mingle with the quiet rhythm of the land. At the edge of the hall, a small alcove reveals a series of painted tiles, chipped but still faintly vibrant. They depict figures in motion, a hero defending a village, a companion guiding the lost, a scholar casting spells with delicate precision. The wanderer kneels to observe them, feeling the soft hum of life in the imagery. The magic here is not powerful or forceful, but it is deeply alive. It is the imprint of intention and love, of courage exercised in quiet, steady ways, woven to the very stones that have endured the passage of time. The valley grows quiet as evening settles, and the wanderer sits among the relics, feeling the weight of history in a way that is both humbling and comforting. Each object, each fragment of a life once lived, speaks of resilience, of patience, and of a magic that does not seek to dominate but to endure. The spirit of the wanderer merges with these echoes, understanding that the past is not lost, but folded gently into the present, shaping the quiet magic of reborn. The wanderer rises slowly, brushing their hands against the stones and relics around them, feeling the quiet pulse of memory that lingers in each fragment. As they move deeper into the ruins, the air grows cooler, carrying faint scents of moss, earth, and something faintly metallic, a whisper of old battles and worn armor. The light fades to soft twilight, and shadows stretch across broken walls, lending a hushed dignity to the artifacts that remain. Each step feels deliberate, measured, as though walking through a library of time itself. Among the scattered stones, a broken staff catches their eye. Its surface is scratched and weathered, but faint runes glow softly along its length. The wanderer kneels to lift it, feeling a pulse of magic that is no longer loud or commanding, but steady, patient, and alive. It hums with the memory of a wizard who once guided others gently through the unknown, whose spells were cast not for spectacle, but for protection, for growth, and for subtle transformation. The spirit within the wanderer bends toward the staff, listening to the faint echoes of intention folded into its essence. Nearby, a cracked helmet rests against the roots of an ancient tree, its once shining surface now dulled and streaked with moss. The wanderer picks it up, running fingers over the contours, and senses the courage of the individual who wore it. They can almost feel the weight of battles carried, the silent determination that allowed them to persevere. The spirit of the wanderer hums softly in response, attuned to the quiet rhythm of bravery, a kind that does not call attention to itself, but leaves an enduring mark on the world. A faint glimmer from beneath a pile of rubble draws their gaze next. Carefully removing stones and debris, the wanderer uncovers a small amulet, its surface etched with symbols that shine faintly in the twilight. Holding it close, they feel warmth and energy, a gentle pulse that seems almost alive. This relic speaks not of grand power, but of dedication, loyalty, and the quiet acts that shape history. The spirit of the wanderer absorbs this subtle magic, understanding that heroism is often woven into the world through patience, care, and unseen persistence rather than loud displays of might. The path leads the wanderer to a collapsed wall, where scattered manuscripts and journals lie partially buried in dust. They brush the pages gently, revealing faded writing and sketches. The words tell of journeys, discoveries, friendships, and sacrifices, of quiet moments of reflection that guided the heroes as much as their battles did. The wanderer reads slowly, feeling the resonance of thought and intention left behind by those who once walked this land. The spirit within them expands, intertwining with the history captured in ink and parchment, allowing the wisdom of the past to flow gently into the present. Further along, the wanderer encounters fragments of jewelry and trinkets, a delicate ring, a worn pendant, a small brooch shaped like a star. Each item is modest, yet each carries a story, a trace of affection, remembrance, or identity. The wanderer gathers them gently, holding them for a moment, as they absorb the quiet magic imbued in their creation and use. They feel the pulse of lives intertwined with the fate of the land, every small act of love and courage folded subtly into the enduring weave of ooh. As night deepens, fireflies rise from the ruins, their tiny lights reflecting on the relics, casting them in a gentle, ethereal glow. The wanderer sits quietly among the remnants of the old heroes, feeling the rhythm of the world align with their own heartbeat. Each fragment, each trace of history, contributes to a delicate, continuous pattern, a tapestry of bravery, care, and magic that persists long after the heroes themselves have vanished. The spirit of the wanderer feels a deep sense of humility and reverence. They realize that the old heroes are not truly gone. They endure through the traces left behind in objects, stories, and subtle magical currents. Each relic is a vessel, a memory, and a quiet source of inspiration for those who follow. The wanderer breathes slowly, absorbing the calm, enduring presence of these artifacts, understanding that to honor them is to continue the slow, patient rhythm of care, courage, and magic that defines Reborn. Even the smallest item resonates, a chipped cup, a frayed cloak, a single gauntlet finger. Each speaks softly of the lives that once touched the world deeply, yet gently. The wanderer senses that the land itself holds these memories, folding them into the soil, the air, and the subtle currents of magic. The old hero's influence continues, not through glory or legend alone, but through enduring quiet acts, traces left in objects, patterns, and in the hearts of those who come after. The wanderer rises and walks slowly along the edge of the ruins, observing the relics scattered across the land. They feel the whispers of those who shaped the quiet magic of past heroism, and the gentle persistence of memory. Their spirit flows seamlessly with these echoes, understanding that even in the age of quiet magic, the deeds of the old heroes persist, softly guiding, subtly shaping, and enduring in ways that demand patience, care, and attention to perceive fully. The wanderer moves slowly through the ruins as night settles fully over the valley, their steps light and deliberate. The relics of old heroes lie scattered like quiet constellations across the broken landscape, each one a soft pulse in the lingering magic of Their spirit feels attuned to these traces, sensing the subtle energies folded into stone, metal, and parchment. The land itself seems to breathe in response, exhaling memories and whispers from ages long past, inviting the wanderer to listen, to remember, and to honor what remains. Near the base of a crumbling tower, the wanderer discovers a long-forgotten banner. Its colors faded, but the symbol still faintly glowing with residual magic. They kneel beside it, fingers tracing the worn patterns. The banner speaks softly, carrying echoes of rallies and defenses, of moments when courage inspired countless others, when small acts of leadership shaped outcomes far beyond the eyes of any single hero. The spirit of the wanderer bends toward these traces, feeling the continuity between past and present, the quiet influence of heroes who once walked these lands. Further on, a small chest lies half buried beneath rubble and overgrowth. The wanderer opens it gently, revealing contents that have survived the passage of time. A diary, some charred letters, a pair of gloves, and a tiny charm shaped like a heart. Each item carries a subtle resonance, a quiet echo of lives once lived fully and purposefully. The wanderer holds the diary, leafing through brittle pages, sensing the careful, deliberate thoughts of a hero who recorded not only grand victories, but also fleeting moments of doubt, hope, and tenderness. It is a reminder that heroism is often built from quiet persistence, small choices, and deep care rather than flashy acts or grand gestures. As the wanderer continues, they notice a pattern in the relics themselves. Broken swords and battered shields are paired with fragments of journals, small trinkets, and objects of sentimental value. Each artifact carries its own resonance, but together they weave a story of ordinary beings achieving extraordinary things through resilience, compassion, and subtle courage. The spirit of the wanderer pulses in quiet admiration, understanding that the true legacy of these heroes is not measured in power or fame, but in the enduring threads they have left woven into the very fabric of Oo. In a small courtyard, the wanderer discovers a sword hilt entwined with ivy, the blade long gone. Yet as they touch it lightly, they feel the faint resonance of the wielder's past movements, each swing, each parry, each act of protection and bravery. The spirit within the wanderer hums in quiet recognition of this imprint. Even though time has dulled the sword's edge and erased its shine, the intent, care, and courage of its owner persist, gently influencing the land and those who move through it. Nearby, a helmet rests among moss and wildflower. The wanderer lifts it, feeling the faint warmth of a spirit that once carried burdens, defended others, and endured hardships. The helmet is more than a piece of armor. It is a vessel of memory, a subtle reminder that heroism does not vanish, but endures in quiet traces, woven into stone, soil, and the air itself. The wanderer sets it down gently, ensuring its integrity is preserved as much as possible, understanding that these relics are not just objects, but conduits of timeless wisdom and energy. Further along, they find a small shield half buried in soil. Its surface is marred by battle, edges chipped, yet it vibrates faintly with the protective energy of its long-gone bearer. The wanderer places a hand on it and feels a subtle warmth, a quiet pulse of magic and memory that seems to flow directly into the land itself. The spirit of the wanderer resonates with this gentle force, sensing the continuity of care and protection that bridges the ages. These are not relics of conquest. They are relics of guardianship, patient courage, and selfless dedication. As the wanderer rises to continue their path, they notice a small pendant, half hidden beneath rubble and leaves. Picking it up, they feel the faintest shimmer of enchantment, a quiet, persistent magic that speaks of love, loyalty, and the enduring bonds forged between heroes and their companions. The spirit of the wanderer bends closer, absorbing the energy and letting it flow softly through them, a gentle reminder that the heart of heroism is often found not in battle alone, but in care, connection, and the patient persistence of goodness. The ruins stretch endlessly into the valley, each corner revealing new fragments, shards of enchanted glass, remnants of tools, tattered banners, and weathered books. The wanderer walks slowly among them, feeling the pulse of magic and memory woven to the land. Every relic, no matter how small, carries a story, a whisper, and a subtle influence that continues to shape the quiet rhythms of Ooh. As the first hints of dawn begin to color the horizon, the wanderer pauses atop a low ridge, gazing out across the valley filled with relics of the old heroes. The sun casts long shadows across the moss-covered stones, broken walls, and scattered artifacts. In this gentle light, the spirit of the wanderer senses the enduring legacy of those who came before, their courage, their care, their subtle but persistent magic woven into every inch of the land. In this age of quiet rebirth, these relics are no longer symbols of glory, but of continuity. They remind the wanderer and anyone who walks these lands with awareness that even when kingdoms fall and great deeds fade from memory, the echoes of heroism persist. They live in the stones, the soil, the air, and the subtle magic that flows quietly beneath the surface of Ooh. The wanderer breathes deeply, absorbing the patience, courage, and wisdom embedded in each relic. They feel a profound connection to the past, a gentle understanding that the quiet endurance of magic and memory is as vital to the land's rebirth as the new weavers and the patient currents of life that shape it. The valley hums softly, carrying whispers of the old heroes forward, folding seamlessly into the ongoing story of Ooh Reborn. The wanderer lingers in the valley as the morning light spreads softly across the ruins, casting a gentle glow over the relics of heroes long past. Each artifact, whether a fragment of armor, a faded banner, or a small charm, vibrates with quiet energy, a pulse that is subtle yet undeniable. The spirit of the wanderer moves among them slowly, allowing each echo of heroism to sink into their awareness. These relics do not shout of glory. They whisper of perseverance, patience, and care, teaching lessons that endure long after the heroes themselves have passed. A broken sword lies across a patch of moss, its edge chipped and dulled by time. The wanderer kneels beside it, brushing away the soil and ivy, and feels the faint hum of its former wielder. The sword speaks not of battles won or enemies defeated, but of the courage it took to stand for others, the quiet moments of vigilance, the dedication that required no audience. The spirit of the wanderer bends toward it, absorbing the soft lessons embedded within the metal, allowing them to mingle with the patient rhythm of the land. Nearby, a tattered banner flutters gently in the morning breeze, its colors muted, but still faintly radiant. Symbols etched into the fabric shimmer when touched by the wanderer's hand, carrying the weight of memory and intention. Each thread, frayed and worn, holds stories of kingdoms defended, communities protected, and promises kept through quiet, steadfast resolve. The spirit of the wanderer resonates with these subtle traces, understanding that heroism is preserved not in spectacle, but in enduring presence and careful, persistent action. Among the ruins of an old watchtower, a small chest sits partially open, revealing fragments of journals, letters, and trinkets. The wanderer lifts a crumbling book, its pages brittle, but filled with careful observations, reflections, and sketches. The words speak softly of journeys taken, friends lost and found, and moments of introspection that guided decisions in ways both visible and unseen. The spirit of the wanderer moves gently through these echoes, feeling the quiet magic of intention embedded within, the persistence of character and resolve surviving the erosion of time. A faded pendant catches the wanderer's eye, lying in a bed of moss. Its surface is scratched and dull, yet it hums faintly with warmth when held. It carries the energy of loyalty, love, and the bonds forged between companions and heroes. The wanderer traces its curves with a careful finger, feeling the pulse of care and connection that infused the object, understanding that such small gestures of devotion are often the true backbone of heroism. The spirit of the wanderer flows into the energy, becoming part of the quiet continuum of influence that stretches from past to present. The ruins around the wanderer are not silent. They are alive with subtle magic. Stones resonate faintly with the energy of past spells. Fragments of wood and metal vibrate with the echoes of protection, and the wind carries whispers of deeds performed in quiet vigilance. The wanderer moves among these remnants slowly, letting the spirit absorb the faint pulses of magic and memory, allowing them to guide the understanding of this new reborn ooh. Here, heroism is not a spectacle. It is a quiet, enduring force, stitched into the very bones of the land. A small gauntlet lies atop a fallen wall, moss curling around its edges. The wanderer lifts it gently, sensing the hands that once wore it, the care and skill that moved through it. Even in its broken state, it hums faintly, a reminder that the deeds of the past persist in ways both subtle and profound. The spirit of the wanderer bends closer, feeling the resonance of responsibility, vigilance, and persistence, understanding that these qualities are threads that tie together the present with the legacy of the past. Further along, the wanderer discovers a shield, dulled and battered, its surface etched with the faint traces of previous enchantments. When touched, it resonates softly with protective energy, a quiet hum that flows through the fingers into the arm, reminding the wanderer that guardianship is not about dominance, but about care, patience, and enduring attention. They feel the silent heartbeat of the shield, the intent of the hero who wielded it, and the subtle lessons it imparts about responsibility and courage in quiet, persistent ways. Among the scattered ruins, fragments of jewelry, small charms, and simple tools glimmer faintly in the morning light. Each is a whisper of memory, a trace of personal intention, love, or duty. The wanderer gathers a few gently, feeling the warmth of their stories flow into their own spirit. Each object, no matter how broken or overlooked, carries the quiet magic of heroism, not in the display of power, but in the persistence of care, the endurance of intention, and the weaving of memory into the land itself. The wanderer pauses at the center of the valley, looking across the expanse of relics. The sun casts a gentle glow on moss-covered stones, broken armor, faded banners, and small, scattered trinkets. Each object hums with quiet life, each pulse a note in the ongoing song of Ooh's rebirth. The spirit of the wanderer feels connected to these echoes, understanding that the age of heroes has not ended, but transformed. Their legacy persists, subtle and enduring in the land, in the objects they left behind, and in the quiet magic that flows unseen but ever-present. As the day rises, the wanderer sits among the relics, absorbing the calm, persistent presence of these remnants. They sense the continuity of life and magic, the careful weaving of past deeds into the fabric of the world, and the quiet persistence of courage, loyalty, and care. The valley hums softly, carrying the stories of old heroes forward, merging seamlessly with the new currents of magic that flow gently across Ooh. The spirit of the wanderer feels at peace, aligned with the rhythm of history, magic, and the patient rebirth of the land. The relics of old heroes are no longer just artifacts. They are teachers, guides, and witnesses. They remind the wanderer and all who walk in their footsteps that true heroism is quiet, enduring, and woven into the subtle fabric of the world. Their magic is not loud, but persistent, not flashy, but transformative, not commanding but harmonizing with the life around it. And in this quiet valley, as the morning deepens into soft daylight, the wanderer feels the profound resonance of these relics, knowing that the past continues to shape the present in delicate, essential ways. The valley, filled with echoes of courage, love, and care, stretches outward, merging with the forests, streams, and meadows of the reborn Ooh. The wanderer rises slowly, letting the energy of the relics flow into their spirit, and moves onward, carrying with them the quiet teachings of the heroes who have gone before. The land hums softly around them, alive with memory, magic, and patient endurance, a living testament to the enduring power of quiet heroism in an age of subtle magic. Before we slip further into tonight's tale of Ooh Reborn, the age of quiet magic, I wonder where your night finds you and what hour lulls you toward dreams. Let your answers float softly in the comments, like quiet ripples across a still lake. Now nestle in and let us continue our walk through this world, where the magic has softened and the land hums in patient, gentle rhythm. The wanderer moves past the Valley of Relics, the morning light now stretching across moss-covered ruins, wildflowers and streams. A gentle mist curls among the stones, softening the outlines of broken towers and fractured walls. The air itself feels alive, humming faintly with the energy of an age that has learned patience, subtlety, and care. This is not a time of loud spells or dramatic battles, but a season of gentle weaving, quiet vigilance, and enduring attention. The spirit of the wanderer resonates with the rhythm of the land, flowing in step with its patient pulse. The valley opens onto a wide plain, dotted with trees that have grown freely among the ruins of kingdoms past. Light filters through the leaves in soft, dappled patterns, casting gentle shadows that shift with the breeze. Here, the new currents of magic are evident, not in spectacular displays, but in the delicate vitality of life itself. Grass leans toward the sun, streams sparkle faintly with unseen enchantments, and birdsong carries through the air like a quiet, living chorus. The wanderer feels the subtle hum of magic underfoot, in the soil, and through every blade of grass. As they walk, the wanderer notices tiny currents of energy weaving among the flowers, stones, and trees. These threads of magic are almost invisible, yet they carry profound purpose, guiding growth, healing subtle wounds, and maintaining the delicate balance of the land. The spirit within the wanderer stretches outward, following the flow, feeling the quiet potency of magic that does not demand attention, but shapes the world with persistence and care. Each movement of the wind, each ripple in the stream, is a gentle sign of a world in quiet equilibrium. The wanderer pauses at the edge of a stream, watching the water flow over smooth stones. Faint ripples glow softly as if carrying residual enchantments, not dramatic or forceful, but enduring and delicate. The water seems alive, moving in gentle conversation with the land, guided by currents of quiet magic that have persisted through the ages. The wanderer kneels, dipping a hand into the stream, feeling the pulse of life and subtle energy flowing around them. It is a reassurance, a soft affirmation that the land itself is awake, aware, and tenderly sustained. Across the plain, small animals emerge from the undergrowth. Rabbits, birds, and foxes moving with careful grace. The wanderer watches them, noticing how they respond to currents of energy too subtle for the eye alone. Every creature seems harmonized with the quiet magic of the land, their movements gentle, precise, and full of purpose. It is a magic that nurtures without constraint, guides without interference, and exists as a patient, ever-present hum beneath the surface of the world. The spirit of the wanderer aligns with this quiet rhythm, feeling an intimate connection to the land's subtle vitality. The sun rises higher, casting a warm glow across the plain and highlighting the gentle work of magic in motion. In one corner, a small grove of trees stands over a cluster of ruins. Within the shade, tiny lights shimmer faintly, like motes of energy dancing in the air. These are the traces of spells long forgotten, carefully sustained by the patient weaving of magic by those who came before and now absorbed into the natural rhythm of the land. The wanderer moves slowly among them, feeling the faint tug of these currents and allowing their spirit to drift in harmony with their flow. A gentle breeze carries faint whispers, the echoes of ancient chants, songs of old heroes, and the soft intentions of those who once walked the kingdoms now reclaimed by nature. The wanderer listens closely, sensing how the wind interacts with the land, moving around stones, through branches, and across fields of grass. These whispers are not commands, nor are they urgent. They are guides, quiet reminders of balance, care, and the enduring pulse of magic that flows through all things. The spirit of the wanderer absorbs these messages, feeling a profound sense of calm and continuity. The plain stretches on, revealing more signs of life intertwined with the magic that permeates Ooh. Vines climb ruins with gentle intent. Streams carry nourishment, not only for plants, but for lingering enchantments, and the smallest flowers bloom in patterns guided by the patient weaving of magic. The wanderer walks carefully among these signs, sensing the interconnectivity of all things. The land, the magic, and their own spirit seem to breathe together, moving as one in this age of quiet rebirth. In a small glade, the wanderer comes across a cluster of stone markers, perhaps once part of a forgotten shrine or monument. Each stone hums faintly with latent energy, inscriptions softened by time. They place a hand on the nearest marker and feel a pulse of quiet magic, memories of devotion, protection, and persistence flowing gently into their being. These stones, like the relics of old heroes, are reminders that magic endures not in grand displays, but in the patient care and attention poured into the world. The sun shifts, casting long golden beams across the plain, and the wanderer stops to observe the full scene. Currents of quiet magic thread through the grass, trees, and ruins, connecting everything in a subtle, living lattice. The land hums softly, a song without sound, a melody of patience, endurance, and gentle guidance. The spirit of the wanderer expands, moving in tandem with this rhythm, understanding that this age of quiet magic is not empty or dormant, but alive, patient, and infinitely subtle. With each step, the wanderer feels more attuned to the gentle pulse of Ooh. Here, magic is not about grand spectacle or dramatic intervention. It is about listening, responding, nurturing, and weaving life into life with care and intention. It is quiet, yes, but it is profound, shaping the reborn land in ways that are enduring, harmonious, and deeply sustaining. The dawn of quiet magic is not an awakening of loud spells, but a slow, patient bloom of subtle energy that flows through the land, through every creature, stone, and stream. The wanderer moves further into the plain, feeling the currents of quiet magic pulse beneath their feet and through the air. Each step is measured, deliberate, as if treading in harmony with the soft heartbeat of Ooh itself. The ruins, once silent reminders of decay, now hum faintly with life. Moss curls around broken stones, streams weave gentle patterns across the land, and the trees sway as though in conversation with a subtle energy threading the landscape. Every living thing here participates in the quiet symphony of rebirth, a delicate dance guided by patient, enduring magic. In a secluded grove, The wanderer notices a circle of stones, partially hidden beneath vines and moss. When approached, they sense the faint resonance of enchantments long faded, but still alive in essence. These stones hum with the memory of rituals performed not for spectacle, but for harmony, for protection, and for the nurturing of the land. The spirit of the wanderer leans into this energy, letting it flow gently through them, a quiet reminder that magic in this new age thrives in balance, subtlety, and patience rather than flash or force. Nearby, a small stream bends around a cluster of flowering plants. Tiny lights shimmer along its surface, not from fireflies, but from currents of lingering magic. The water carries the vitality of life and enchantment together, nourishing roots and stones alike. The wanderer kneels, trailing fingers in the cool flow, feeling the energy ripple through their hand and into their being. The stream seems to whisper that magic in this age is alive, attentive, and deeply interconnected, responding to care and intention rather than command or coercion. As the wanderer follows the stream, they notice how every element of the landscape seems subtly guided by this quiet magic. Leaves drift lazily in the wind, moving in patterns too intricate for the eye to fully capture. Flowers open in gentle synchrony, their petals oriented not just toward the sun, but toward currents of unseen energy. Even the soil beneath their feet seems alive, vibrating faintly with a patient pulse of growth and renewal. The spirit of the wanderer resonates with these signs, feeling an intimate connection to the rhythms that govern this reborn world. Further along the plain, the wanderer discovers a small grove of young trees, each sprouting from soil enriched not only by earth, but by the lingering essence of past magic. Light glimmers softly along their branches, a reflection of the patient weaving that maintains balance in the land. Here, magic is not a force imposed upon life, but a collaborator, guiding growth, supporting vitality, and nurturing resilience. The wanderer watches quietly, understanding that the true power of this age lies in observation, attentiveness, and the gentle shaping of potential other than the exertion of dominance. In the distance, soft shapes move along the horizon, animal, small and large, each attuned to the quiet currents threading the land. The wanderer senses that these creatures, too, are part of the intricate web of magic, their movements harmonized with the rhythms of plants, streams, and stones. Every motion, no matter how small, contributes to the ongoing balance of this reborn world. The spirit of the wanderer hums in quiet appreciation, aware that in this age, even the smallest act, a fox stepping lightly over a moss-covered stone, a bird brushing past a flower, is part of the subtle artistry of magic in motion. The morning deepens, and the wanderer pauses on a gentle rise, looking out across the plain. The sun casts long shadows over the ruins, streams, and groves, illuminating the delicate threads of energy woven throughout the land. Magic here is patient, enduring, and precise. It does not seek attention, but it moves through every living thing, every stone, and every trace of memory with purpose and care. The spirit of the wanderer feels a profound sense of alignment, as if their own heartbeat is synchronizing with the gentle pulse of the world itself. As they descend from the rise, the wanderer encounters another cluster of relics, partially reclaimed by nature. Pieces of armor, fragments of weapons, and worn trinkets all hum faintly with lingering enchantment. These echoes of past heroes integrate seamlessly into the quiet currents of the land, reinforcing the age of patient magic that now governs Ooh. The spirit of the wanderer understands that even as the old world fades, the memory and essence of heroism remain, woven delicately into the fabric of the reborn landscape. The wanderer moves with measured steps, careful not to disturb the intricate balance surrounding them. Here, magic is not flashy or dramatic, but persistent and enduring. Every ripple of water, sway of leaves, and shimmer of sunlight through the mist carries intention, history, and life, softly reminding the wanderer that the true dawn of quiet magic is found in patience, observation, and gentle interaction with the world. A soft breeze rises, carrying scents of blooming flowers and damp earth, mingling with the faint hum of energy vibrating through the stones and soil. The wanderer breathes deeply, feeling the quiet power of this age infuse their spirit. They recognize that ooh has shifted. The loud, chaotic bursts of magic have given way to a patient, enduring weave that sustains life, honors memory, and nurtures growth in ways that demand care and attentiveness rather than force or spectacle. The wanderer pauses at the edge of a small hill, observing a delicate interplay of light, shadow, and subtle magic in motion across the plain. Streams shimmer faintly with energy, grasses ripple in complex patterns, and distant trees sway with deliberate grace. The spirit of the wanderer aligns with this rhythm, sensing the vast yet subtle power of quiet magic, understanding that this is the true rebirth of Ooh, a world guided not by dominance, but by patience, subtlety, and enduring harmony. The wanderer descends slowly into a shallow valley where the land seems to pulse with gentle energy, the very earth humming beneath their feet. Each stone, each blade of grass, and every fallen leaf carries a faint resonance, subtle yet enduring, as though the memories of past heroes and the quiet intentions of magic have been absorbed and preserved by the world itself. The air is thick with calm vitality, a tangible hush that moves with purpose and patience rather than urgency. The spirit of the wanderer feels the rhythm, soft but persistent, and steps lightly, careful not to disturb the intricate balance around them. A small cluster of ruins appears along the valley floor, the remnants of a forgotten outpost now intertwined with ivy, moss, and wildflowers. The stones, though worn by centuries of weather, vibrate faintly with enchantments long faded but still alive in essence. The wanderer kneels, pressing a hand gently against the cool surface of one wall, sensing the quiet intentions once cast, their acts of protection, perseverance, and care that have persisted far beyond the lifespans of those who created them. The magic is not loud. It does not shout or blaze. Instead, it whispers, patient and enduring, like the slow turning of a page in a book long unread. Among the ruins, a stream runs clear and cold, its waters reflecting the soft morning light. Tiny sparks of energy dance along the ripples, currents of residual magic that guide, nurture, and sustain the life around them. The wanderer bends to touch the surface, feeling the delicate pulse of energy flow through their fingers, soft and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. The magic here teaches that power need not be forceful to be profound, that the quiet persistence of care, attention, and gentle influence can shape the world just as decisively as a spell cast with flash and spectacle. As the wanderer moves along the stream, they notice small creatures gathering near its banks. Birds dip gracefully to drink, rabbits pause to nibble on tender shoots, and foxes tiptoe through the undergrowth, each movement harmonized with the currents of quiet magic flowing through the valley. The wanderer observes how every creature, stone, and plant participates in this subtle symphony, understanding that in the age of quiet magic, all life is interconnected, each piece weaving into the larger, enduring tapestry of Ooh. In a sun-dappled clearing, the wanderer finds a circle of small stone pillars half buried and covered with ivy. When approached, each stone resonates faintly with gentle enchantments, a record of intentions, rituals, and quiet acts of guidance. The wanderer kneels in the center, feeling the currents of magic ripple outward, touching the moss, the grass, and the air itself. It is a reminder that magic in this age flows not through imposition, but through alignment, patience, and careful attention to the subtle rhythms of life. Near the circle, a few remnants of old relics lie scattered. A fragment of a sword, a worn gauntlet, and a small medallion etched with faint runes. The wanderer picks up the medallion, feeling a soft warmth, the pulse of memory, intention, and subtle power flowing through it. It speaks not of battles fought in fury, but of quiet courage, loyalty, and dedication. Each relic, no matter how broken, contributes to the gentle hum of magic that now sustains a current of enduring strength woven into the land by those who came before. The valley floor is dotted with flowers, their petals reflecting faint traces of enchantment that guide their growth, resilience, and bloom. The wanderer notes how even the smallest details, the orientation of leaves, the pattern of vines along stones, are subtly influenced by the currents of quiet magic. It is a magic of patience, of nurturing, and of careful stewardship, one that thrives in harmony rather than through dominance. The spirit of the wanderer moves in concert with these currents, attuning itself to the slow, persistent pulse of life. A gentle breeze lifts fallen petals into the air, carrying them along in delicate arcs that trace the hidden energy flows beneath the soil. The wanderer follows them, sensing the interconnection between every living thing, stone, and relic in the valley. Every movement, no matter how small, contributes to the subtle balance of the world. This is the essence of the new magic: quiet, patient, and profoundly interwoven with the land and its inhabitants. Further along, a hollowed tree trunk glows faintly from within, light spilling softly onto the ground. Inside, the wanderer discovers tiny runes etched along the bark, remnants of spells once cast for guidance, protection, and growth. The energy within is gentle but persistent, a quiet beacon that nurtures life around it. The wanderer rests a hand against the trunk, feeling the pulse of this enduring magic, sensing how its patient influence stretches beyond the tree itself, flowing into the soil, the air, and the living creatures nearby. As the wanderer continues, the light of the rising sun intensifies, illuminating delicate patterns in the landscape, streams carving soft channels through moss-covered stones, roots weaving into ruins, and flowers opening in alignment with hidden currents of magic. Each element participates in the ongoing orchestration of quiet power, demonstrating that the true dawn of this age lies not in explosive displays, but in patient, attentive nurturing of all life. The wanderer's spirit moves in harmony with these patterns, understanding that the world itself has become a living testament to the enduring, subtle magic that shapes The valley stretches onward, a landscape alive with quiet energy, patient growth, and subtle enchantments. Every relic, stone, stream, and creature contributes to this ongoing dance, a testament to the rebirth of in an age of quiet magic. The wanderer walks slowly, absorbing the rhythm, and feels a profound sense of peace, knowing that in this subtle, patient way, the world heals, endures, and flourishes. The wanderer pauses atop a gentle rise, gazing across the valley where streams curve lazily between moss-covered ruins and trees sway softly in the morning breeze. The land stretches outward like a living tapestry, each thread of grass, each bloom of wildflower, each ripple in water carrying subtle currents of magic that pulse quietly but persistently through The wanderer breathes deeply, feeling the rhythm of the land align with their own heartbeat. Here in this reborn world, magic no longer demands attention. It whispers, guides, nurtures, and sustains. As the wanderer descends into the next hollow, a soft mist rises from the soil, carrying the scent of damp earth, blossoms, and the faint shimmer of lingering enchantments. Tiny motes of light float in the air like ancient sparks of magic caught in the folds of the breeze. The wanderer watches them drift over broken stones and relics, noticing how each spark illuminates a small corner of the world, revealing details that might have been overlooked. The delicate veins in a leaf, the subtle etchings in a weathered stone, the gentle shimmer of a hidden pool. In this light, the quiet magic of Ooh is revealed as patient, observant, and endlessly attentive, weaving together all living and non-living things into a gentle harmony. Among the ruins, the wanderer discovers a small grove where young trees have taken root, their trunks entwined with vines that glow faintly in response to the sun's rays. The ground beneath them hums softly, as though the very soil remembers the footsteps of heroes long gone. Here, magic is not a force to be wielded, but a presence to be listened to. The wanderer kneels, pressing a hand to the earth and feeling the pulse of life. Memory and subtle enchantment flow upward. They sense the patient work of centuries, the quiet stewardship of nature and magic in tandem, creating a balance that is fragile yet resilient, understated yet profoundly enduring. The wind rises gently, carrying faint whispers that seem to drift from the ruins themselves. Perhaps they are the lingering echoes of those who once walked these lands, or maybe the voices of the earth itself speaking softly to those willing to listen. The wanderer leans into the breeze, letting the whispers brush against their spirits. There is no urgency here, no demand for action, just guidance, calm and persistent. A reminder that the world continues to breathe, heal, and unfold, quietly powered by magic that endures because it is patient, attentive, and aligned with life itself. As the wanderer continues, they come across a small pond nestled between ancient stones. Its surface reflects the soft light of the morning, shimmering with subtle ripples of energy. Tiny currents of magic move beneath the water, invisible yet present, guiding the growth of aquatic plants, nourishing the creatures that dwell within, and gently shaping the surrounding landscape. The wanderer crouches, dipping a hand into the cool water, feeling the hum of life and enchantment flow through them. This is the essence of quiet magic, steady, nurturing, and unseen except by those who take the time to feel its rhythm. Across the pond, a series of stone markers rise, worn by wind and rain, but still emanating a faint glow. Each stone carries the memory of acts of care, protection, and guidance, long after the heroes who carved them have vanished. The wanderer traces the inscriptions with a careful finger, sensing the pulse of intention embedded in the rock. These markers are not monuments to power, but reminders that even the smallest acts of courage and attention leave enduring imprints on the world. In this age, magic is measured not in spectacle, but in the persistent shaping of life, memory, and connection. The wanderer rises, feeling the soft strength of the land beneath their feet. The currents of quiet magic weave around them, gentle and insistent, carrying the legacy of old heroes, the subtle rhythms of nature, and the patient work of new weavers who honor life in all its forms. Every stone, every stream, every living creature participates in this delicate dance, forming a web of connection that is stronger for its quiet endurance. The wanderer senses the balance of Ooh as it has always been and will continue to be. Fragile, beautiful, patient, and infinitely persistent. As the sun climbs higher, golden light spills across the valley, illuminating the streams, flowers, and ruins. Magic moves in delicate arcs and currents, threading through the world with a patient, persistent touch. The wanderer pauses once more, watching as life unfolds in harmony with the quiet power that sustains it. There is a serenity here that is rare and profound, a deep, abiding sense that the world is being held and guided by forces both gentle and enduring. In this reborn age, the magic of Ooh is no longer about dramatic displays or heroic feats alone, but about the patient care, attention, and subtle nurturing that allow life to flourish quietly, persistently, and beautifully. The wanderer sits on a smooth stone at the edge of the grove, letting the rhythm of the land and the currents of quiet magic fill their awareness. Their spirit feels interwoven with the valley, attuned to the subtle hum of life and enchantment that courses through every corner. The relics of old heroes, the new growth of forests and streams, and the gentle pulses of magic all flow together, forming a living symphony of patience, care, and quiet endurance. The world of Ooh, in this age of quiet magic, continues to breathe, heal, and grow. Its magic is subtle, persistent, and nurturing, guiding every living thing in ways that may be unseen but are deeply felt. The wanderer rises slowly, moving forward with gentle steps, carrying the calm wisdom of the land in their heart. Each relic, each stone, each whisper of wind reminds them that, even in quietude, the power of magic endures, shaping the world with patience, care, and unwavering presence. And so, as the sun continues its climb and the gentle currents of quiet magic ripple softly across Ooh, we leave the wanderer walking into the reborn land. The pulse of life, memory and subtle enchantment guiding every step. This is the age of quiet magic, a world where care, patience, and gentle attention are as powerful as any sword, spell, or hero. Where the legacy of the past lingers softly in the stones, streams, and trees, where life itself hums in patient harmony with magic. Good night.